speak to you tonight about the troubling events of the past week.
I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gonna be biblical.
How's it going, everybody? FCB here. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing fantastic. And I hope you're all in amazing spirits. Welcome to the Pulse here on the Freedom Channel broadcast. And now let's hopefully you guys can hear that. I'm doing some new stuff. I'm adding some new technology. And hopefully you guys are doing well. Let's see if you guys can hear that. Just give me a thumbs up. Let's see if you guys can hear that. Just give me a thumbs up, guys. We're just testing out some new equipment. Okay, awesome. So, yes, welcome to the Freedom Channel broadcast. And thank you very much for the thumbs up, guys. I really appreciate it. Yes, lots going on, isn't there? And that's to say the least. Isn't it? That's to say the least. Yes, finally we have some justice. Former Prince Andrew was arrested. Isn't that amazing? Now, think about it from this perspective. Virginia Giuffre was accused of saying lies and all these things. All these Epstein victims ridiculed, and just in one foul swoop that changed. Never before, and I think it's hundreds of years since a royal has been arrested. And actually, let me just reiterate that he isn't a royal. Remember, his royal title had been stripped, hadn't it? So let's look at the facts. In order to take down the royals, they had to, obviously, to take down Prince Andrew, to arrest him, they had to strip him of his sovereignty because they got some sort of sovereignty business going on. They stripped him of his titles, which means he falls under a different banner. Now, the reason why he was arrested had nothing to do with Virginia Giuffre, apparently. It had to do with him being a trade envoy and sharing secrets with Epstein, which is a breach. Now, what they can go for is a lifetime sentence. It's like he's committed some sort of treason. However, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. So you think about this. He set a precedent. Just like, with law, you set a precedent. So a precedent has been set to go after all the other royals. So who's going to strip King Charles of his title? Has that ever been done before, where a king has been stripped of his title? I know kings have been exiled and all that, and obviously that has happened, and it can be done. Remember, Prince Charles or King Charles and his lineage are not royal. We know where they come from. Mountbatten, Rothschilds, related to the Rothschilds. They changed their name to Windsor back in 1917, that was King George V. They did it back in the day, 1917. The same day that they did the Balfour Declaration, which was the seeds that created Israel. 1917. Now, there's no royal lineage. Nothing royal about them. In fact, the Rothschilds they created them because they were related. They're all related. That's all been proven. It's all factual that the Mountbattens are related to the Rothschilds. So now it's time for the takedown, isn't it? That's what we want. We want to see the huge takedown. Now, think about this. Prince Andrew, or former Prince Andrew, had his title removed. That means it's game on for the others. The question that is on everyone's lips and is on mine is that when's this going to happen? When are we going to see this man here go down for this? Let this sink in, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy Savile, who was knighted by the Queen, was best friends with good old Charlie. He was a notorious pedophile, over 500 children. Top of the pops. And then obviously, Charlie's going to make Andrew look like a kindergarten. Checkmate's coming, ladies and gentlemen. Checkmate's coming. The question is, when are we going to see the king fall? That's what we want. But there are others that are tied in. It's like Starmer has been sitting there and protecting him. Remember, Boris Johnson called it out. And then he was forgotten about. The thing is, it's time for the pain to come. It's time for the truth. So they're using this thing of Prince Andrew, because they were trying to find things on how to get him into, to start shall we say, the ball rolling. And the thing is that they come up with that he's a trade-in boy. Back in the day, he was a trade-in boy, and that he shared secrets with Epstein. Now, get this, 66 years old. He was going to, as in his birthday is 66 years old. His birthday was either coming up. When is his birthday? Let's have a look at Andrew's Mountbatten. Yeah, I'd like to put a bat on somewhere, on his head. But anyway, besides the point, let's see when his birthday was or is. Let's see, his birthday. Oh, it happened to be his birthday. So when he got arrested, it happened to be smack bang on his birthday. 66 years old. Don't you find it a coincidence? 66 years old. Think about this. How many cars apparently picked him up? 6 cars. And then 12 hours he was arrested. Sorry, it was 12 hours he was kept in custody. 12 hours. 6 plus 6 equals 12. We know who's behind this. And then you got Prince Charles saying, King Charles, sorry about that, your royal bullshit, saying that he didn't know nothing about it, really. Are you serious? Are you going to gaslight us? I know we've been gaslit, by the way. You realise that in many ways today, which we'll go through. This is the statement from King Charles. Happened to be happy birthday, Andrew. Knock, knock, who's there? It's not the stripper you ordered. It's the police. I have learned with the deepest concern the news about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Really? and suspicion of misconduct in the public office. Misconduct. So, misconduct, trade-in boy, gave state secrets or whatever it is, and that's what they got him on. Nothing to mention about Virginia Guthrie, but they obviously needed an excuse to get him in there. And this is the thing, ladies and gentlemen, while this is business is going on, everyone's been distracted over here, but they're not looking at what's going on in the West Bank. How they're going over there and annexing more and more land. No one's looking over there, but I'm always looking over there. I'm looking at the world stage. Now, what now follows is the full, fair process or proper process by which this issue is investigated in the appropriate manner and by the appropriate authorities. In this, as I've said before, they have our full and wholehearted support and cooperation. Let me state clearly, the law must take its course. As this process continues, it would not be right for me to comment further on this matter. Meanwhile, I'm going to go to some London party in a fashion parade. Yeah, that's true. And he was sitting there gallivanting with his friends over there. I will continue doing my duties, like going there and having a great time and perving on the young girls in the fashion parade that good old Jeffrey was doing back in the day with Wexner. Yeah, no, we're going to continue on with that business. You've been gaslit. You realise that, okay? Because it's just ridiculous, the whole thing. Yeah, look at this. There we go. Look at this crap right here. That's what I'm saying, guys. Gaslight to the max. Let's have a look. There's Charlie. I'll show you now in a moment. Okay, here we go. There he is. King Charles arrives at London Fashion Week after the arrest his brother Andrew Mountbatten. So, hold on a minute. Your brother is a known pedophile. He's done all that naughty stuff on Epstein Island, but you got him on doing trade secrets and giving him Epstein trade secrets. But you're not talking about the filth that's been taking place. And then Wexner's gone out there and gaslight everybody. That will speak about that. He's been gaslighting everyone. And Les Wexner, Victoria's Secret. And then basically you're going out there and you're partying it up at the London Fashion Week to go further perv on young girls out there. Yeah, okay, we've been gaslit. You realise this. And I'm going to tell you guys, look, today the gaslighting went into another dimension, okay? Because we've been gaslighted. We'll speak about the Glossfate business to do with RFK. I think it's called Glossfate or Glossfate or whatever it is. Let's just see let me get the pronunciation correctly. Glyphosate, that's it. Glyphosate's in the food. Not glyphosate, glyphosate. Glyphosate. Glypho means to lick. Glyphosate. Isn't it interesting? So we've got that business with RFK telling us glyphosates are bad or glyphosates are bad. And then doing a whole flip and saying, no, it's okay now because we're talking about Roundup, it's okay now. No, you've been gaslit all over the place today, okay? Now, like I said, this set a precedent just in. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the young brother of King Charles III, has been released under the investigation. So he was there for 12 hours, right? Yes, 12 hours. Isn't that lovely? 66 years old, 6 cars, 666. Yeah, no, we get it. Okay. Yeah, the good old 666. And remember, what does Q talk about the 666? And we know what 666 stands for. Good old Star of, that Star of Israel business. Again, connects to there. After all, Epstein's connected. You can see how everything's connected up there, right? 666. And we go in the Q drops and we put in 666 as well. Okay. You got the Rothschilds, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. So Mountbatten, think about this. Let's do the connections. Mountbatten, Rothschilds, because they're related, and by no coincidence, but by design, ladies and gentlemen, it mentions the Rothschilds estate sale, Black Forest, stock market dive, 666 coincidence. There are none, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, you know the Mountbattens are related to the Rothschilds. Therefore, we got a 5 of 5. Comms are clear. Thank you very much. 66 years old, 6 cars, 666, Q drop 666. 666 takes us to Rothschild estate. Rothschilds related to Mountbatten. There we go. Mirrors are important. Oh, yes, no, they are. Thank you very much, Q, for that one. Yeah, no, there are no coincidences. Now, another thing that is not coincidence that we've been waiting for. Oh, I went out there, obviously, and been putting this business. Q drop 523, checkmate. That's what we want to see. We want to see Charlie take it down. I mean, take it for the, not for the team, but to go down. Checkmate. In other words, the king gone. That's what we want to see. Because let me tell you something. What we're watching right now is the destruction of the royal family. And let me tell you, this is going to be a domino effect. So, in other words, let's go by the facts. The Rothschilds related to Mountbatten. We know that they were the Saxe-Coburg Gotha as well. They changed the name to Windsor. Fake royals. No royal lineage at all. Just a bunch of garbage. Rothschild stooges and puppets in place. Okay, and they've been running the show in, like I said, in the guise of them being in some sort of control. No, they were the front people. Okay? The degenerate front people that were controlled. Remember the Rothschilds, City of London. We know what the City of London's all about, the financial capital out of the three. The financial capital, City of London. Vatican, spiritual centre. Then you've got DC, the military arm. Right? Make up the unholy trinity, if you will. City of London, the royal family or the king or the queen couldn't step in there without the permission of the Lord Mayor, who represents the Rothschilds. What does that tell you? It tells you that the Rothschilds are in control. That's what it tells you. What I'm waiting for is good old Charlie's connections to Jimmy Savile and that filth. Because, like I said, they've been warming us up. So using Prince Andrew or former Prince Andrew as a, shall we say, a starter. Because that's what it was. It is a starter. So in other words, you got to create a precedent, right? And you need a scapegoat. So let's use Andrew because he was a degenerate going to that island. Okay, so you got to start off, remove all these titles, right? That was a genius move. Then, and we know Andrew was the key to go after all the royals. So he set a precedent already. We know that the royal family can have their titles stripped of them. And you know Meghan Markle is connected to Epstein's girlfriend, and she can testify against Andrew. We spoke about that yesterday as well. So this is about setting a precedent. Now, Charlie says, yes, we've got to do everything by the law. Really, Charlie? Is that going to apply to you? Who's going to be making a statement, about you? That's my, I'll be happy to see who's going to do that statement. Will it be Kamala or Camilla? What's her name? Camilla, yeah, not Kamala, Camilla. Will it be Camilla? Will it be your son making a statement when you go down? Let me state clearly, the law must take its course, and then he'll be gone. Is that what we're expecting? A statement from you know, Prince William. You know what I'm saying? You can see it's a precedent. Now, you saw what Representative Kana said not that long ago. How he said that this is the end, well, of the royal family. Now, the royals are all connected to all the different royals, the fake royals all around the world. So think about this. You go after the head of the Leviathan, which is over there, which is King Charles. The rest are just going to go gone. You know, it's just time for this whole royal business to be gone for good. Because let me tell you something. The only people we should be bound down, or the only entity we should be bound down to, is God. No one else. Not any. We represent God. No, you don't. You represent the devil. That's who you represent. All right? That's all been proven. All right? You represent the satanic ideology. You've been doing it for a very long time. You've been participating in those Rothschild hunting episodes in the States. And no, it's time for all of you royal pieces of shit to go. Do you agree, ladies and gentlemen? Do you agree that the royal family have done nothing for, they're not even royal, by the way. They've done nothing for humanity. Zero. Nothing. Nada. All they're doing is basically absorbing the taxpayers' dollars, getting rich, and basically doing all those nefarious things. Now think about this. City of London, it's all been proven, it's all dissolved. It's in the documents. We've brought that out, exposed it. We've shown you the documents many times on the show. So that means if the City of London was the control mechanism, which is, doing the finances and all that, and the Rothschilds were the ones controlling it. So who's taken over and new management? Think about that one. So this is why I'm saying everything's been done by design. Things need to be done a certain way in a certain sequence. Now, like I put out there on my Telegram, ladies and gentlemen, about could this be, that Q drop, the one that we talk about, the first indictment? Could it be? Well, anything is possible. I'm not going to say it is. I'm not going to say it isn't. All right, but this one comes to mind. Q drop 3716. First indictment unsealed will trigger mass pop awakening. First arrest will verify action and confirm future direction. They will fight, but you are ready. Marker 9. Q. So could it be that one? We don't know. We work with fact servants and receipts, and we could say, yeah, we could use that one for, and it's been used so many times it's not funny. Now, like I said, there is Q drops to talk about checkmate king. 4281. Now I've said checkmate king being Obama, queen being Hillary. That's also mentioned in the Q drops as well. We've been through that whole decode. But also remember, Q has not just one, shall we say, uses it for one meaning. Think multiple meanings. So objective end, checkmate king. Do you attack the king at the beginning of the game? Do you attack and remove the pawns first? Do you attack and remove the bishops, rooks, and knights? Now, you can call them Prince Andrew, if you like. Do you attack and remove the queen mid to end? Is the game being played public or private? Well, we can see it's all being played out in the public. Do emotions affect critical thinking? That's why I say use your logic. Add important king control pieces, eliminate rogue elements. How do you set the stage board regarding public opinion optics? Now think about this. Public opinion is very important. Think about it very carefully. If you want to put it into this, what's going on with Charles and Prince Andrew, or former Prince Andrew, Epstein, think about what has happened. The people are demanding justice themselves. So it's organic. Remember, I've been saying it, that there'll be a day, and those that watch my show and watch me have seen me say it over and over and over again, that there will be a day when they will stand up on their soapboxes and demand justice. And it's here, ladies and gentlemen. They're demanding justice. People are being gaslit, riled up, done by design. Watch the previous show when I spoke about what General Flynn spoke about, and I broke it all down about how things have been done deliberately. Now, public opinion. Have a look at that. Public opinion. Very important. Optics. Well, you can't, what's this? Q says you can't tell them. You must show them. Optics. There you go. So they're seeing about Epstein. They're seeing the connections with the royals. People want justice. Public opinion is very important. And what does public opinion mean? You need their support. Just like everything else. Think about this. When they go to war, they need public opinion, don't they? They need to shape public opinion, because otherwise they won't be able to get back in again, meaning the elected. So they need public opinion to go to war. Like, for example, what happened with 9/11? Let's go and bomb Afghanistan. They're over there. Bin Laden's over there. Public opinion. Public opinion is very important. Polls. Public opinion again. Every time, ladies and gentlemen, that there is a war, they do it for public opinion. So, in other words, when there's so much, say, scandalous stuff coming out, you look at previous history, there's always going to be this huge distraction. Think about this. Wag the dog. Perfect example. Wag the dog. Remember in Wag the Dog, I think it was the president did some naughty stuff, right? As in, sexual stuff, and was busted. Now, what did they do? They needed to shape public opinion. In comes Robert De Niro, and they staged a whole war to change public opinion. They did it with green screens. You remember that? They've been manipulating public opinion, and now we're in the days where we have artificial intelligence, we have social media bots. That's all been confirmed. General Flynn, we spoke about that the other day. I was showing you about the 5G warfare that he spoke about, artificial intelligence, social media bots, psychological operations, technocrats, all these things. They control public opinion. That's how it is. So this is showing us that someone else has got control, if you will. Why didn't it happen under Obama? Why didn't that happen under Bush? Why didn't it happen under Clinton? Because they were all in bed with Jeffrey. They're all involved. So what is this all about? Oh, Trump's the bad one. Well, Trump's the one that brought it out. Let's be honest. Why didn't you just let it go? Like Bush, like Obama. Why didn't you just let it go and just continue on and milk everything, do what if he was that nefarious? Let's use our logic, not our emotion. Now, the thing is, these, shall we say, proverbial conservatives, influencers, like cat shit and all the gang over there, are basically eating their own shit now. And I'll tell you why. Because number one, they went out there and they called Macy all sorts of derogatory names, and not only Macy, but others that wanted to bring to the table the truth. What they care about is making money, keeping the Trump gravy train. So they're riding the Trump gravy train, but Trump knew exactly what they're doing. He knows what their take is. There's no loyalty with them. It's all fake. They didn't care about the children, did they? Did they? Did they really care about the children? Did they care about exposing the filth? I'll tell you why. They were about making money, pushing a narrative and an ideology, a right side ideology, like the others are pushing it on the left. Because I've shown you this, it's not about the left and right. Both serve the same beast. It's like you take this side, I'll take this side. But in the end, they're all working together, aren't they? One needs each other to be able to control the masses. They've been shaping their, people's public opinion and been putting people against each other. You're on the left, you're on the right, you're on the left. No, President Trump's about the party of common sense. Now, Macy went out there with all these others, and they don't realise that he's working with Trump. So is MTG and so is many others. And they've been, think about this. You want to expose those who are disloyal. President Trump reads The Art of War. And he knows what he's doing. So Macy put his hand up, I'm taking it for the team. Because he literally has been taking it for the team. And he's been going out there and pushing it with MTG and all the rest. Now, these other, shall we say, right side commentators or podcasters and all that have been making it about the right. No. It's not about the right or the left. It's common sense. It's about logic. Now, logically speaking, we don't want to continue on with the same system that has kept us in the state of debt slavery and usury, and also children have been abused, killed, and human trafficking has been taking place just so you guys can continue with your system. No. It's been exposed. They didn't like Macy going out there and exposing it. And remember this, who signed the Epstein Transparency Act? It has the signature of Donald J. Trump on there. Now, Macy went out there and he's been pushing the truth. And these cat shit clowns, Drano the Swamp and all the rest of them, have been going against Macy and calling him all sorts of lovely names. And I'm being sarcastic by saying lovely names. So, in other words, if we listen to them, we wouldn't know the truth. They don't want us knowing the truth. They want people blinded by a one-sided ideology. To them, it's not about the children. To me, it's always been about the children. To them, it's not about true freedom. They want you in a state of containment. They want to keep you entertained with their stupid shows. You've seen, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, someone that pretends to be a cat, okay? And I've seen his stupid show. It's ridiculous. Okay? That's the thing. someone that pretends to be a cat has got some real fetish issues. And then all these others. And let me tell you something. The moment that Trump's popularity had taken a turn, because we know what happened, it was done by design. Because remember what President Trump says. He wants to lose everything and see who remains loyal to him. And already you're starting to see all these right side, and it's not about the right or the left. Let me just remind you, I give it to them equally. But at this point, what I'm trying to show you is that loyalty is very important to President Trump. And you're starting to see them, that they're all starting to go against him. Because it's about the ratings. It's about how popular you are. Remember, where were they at the time? And this is where you look at the past. They were nowhere to be found, were they? We were out in the streets fighting against COVID and all that. Were they out in the streets? Were they out there doing their thing? Or were they just trying to get brownie points like they've been doing all along? And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, you could see people need to wise up and see exactly what's going on here. Who has been for President Trump and who hasn't? And let me tell you something. President Trump sees it. You know, President Trump campaigned about Epstein, about exposing Epstein. Now, like I said, you think about this. You need to expose those entities. So you remember, art of war. Friends close, enemies closer. You got to play the game. You got to use certain key members who are there for the right reasons, for the correct reasons, who are there for the sake of exposing the children, and they've got to take it for the team. This is the genius of President Trump. Like I said, Macy has been taking it for the team, done by design. These are strategies that are implemented, and even General Flynn has spoken about it in The Art of War. Like I said, President Trump is putting out loyalty tests at the moment, and there are people out there that are failing in droves.
I'd like to maybe lose everything for a period of time to see who's loyal and who's not loyal. The world seems to be coming to an end. I mean, it just seems to be coming. And what happened is I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about other people.
Okay, but you keep saying I learned. What did you learn about yourself?
Well, I think I learned for real that I'm a pretty tough guy, because it takes a tough guy. Hey, it takes the brains, and it takes the this, and but it also takes a toughness. Because to go through a period of turmoil where everything seems to be going in the wrong direction and survive it, a lot of it also, though, has to do with other people, the loyalties of other people, how you treated other people so that maybe they are loyal. When people thought I was going down, they sort of deserted me. And this is not the way it should be. And when they thought I was going down for the count, they really did desert me. I have to say, I think that, some of the people that were most loyal to me are people that I didn't think would be. Wiped the floor with the guys that weren't loyal, which I will now do, which is great. I love getting even with people, but I will have wiped.
You love getting even.
Oh, absolutely. You don't believe in the eye for the eye? You do.
No.
I know you well enough. I think you do. But anyway, but
tell me, you're going to get even with some people.
Given the opportunity, I will get even with some people that were disloyal to me. I mean, I had a group of people that were disloyal.
But how do you define disloyalty?
They didn't come to my aid. I want somebody that's loyal from the beginning, not somebody that's loyal because they're afraid or because they're this or because they're that. You see, I'm so loyal to people, and maybe I'm loyal to a fault, but I'm so loyal to people that when somebody's slightly disloyal to me, I look upon it as a great act of horror. And I have a photographic memory.
Well,
that's the problem.
Exactly. It raises this question, can you trust what Donald really says? Because his memory may be short.
Yeah, no.
Embarrassed, but some of them need to go to prison, and the survivors know that. So how will we know if this bill has been successful? We will know when there are men, rich men, in handcuffs being perp walked to the jail.
You heard it, ladies and gentlemen, from Macy. We're going to know when this is going to happen, when they're being perp walked to jail. You're going to know. And let me tell you something. Well done, well done, Mr. Macy. Well done for having the brass when others didn't have it. That he decided to take it for the team so that people can know the truth. It takes a lot of courage, ladies and gentlemen, to do what he did. It takes a lot of courage. Now think about this. Macy has gone up a lot against AIPAC. They've put a huge target on his back. But let me tell you something. They're falling flat on their face right now. A lot of these Congress people are giving AIPAC the middle finger. They literally are, just like Macy has. In fact, they're being embarrassed. They're being exposed. It's been done by design. These Congress people, and they've had enough. Even the candidates that are being attacked are exposing AIPAC at every which opportunity they can. What's interesting is you got Senator Fetterman. He's a very interesting character. Whoever he is, we could say he's somebody else. But he's even saying that supporting Israel is increasingly punishing. Can you believe it? He was supporting Israel, pro-Israel, right? Get this. He was supporting pro-Israel. And now he's saying that it's punishing. Look at this business. Supporting Israel increasingly is more punishing, Senator Heffernan. Not taking AIPAC's money is anti-Israel views. Let's have a listen to this.
I was the only Democrat that was calling to strike the Iranian nuclear facilities. Now you're heading to Munich, and now think about how the world would look if Iran was able to acquire a nuclear bomb. You know, that was a significant thing.
Do you think your position on Israel is the minority in the Democratic Party now?
I think I'm almost kind of alone in parts of it. I'm very supportive. It's increasingly more punishing to have that views. And look at the people that are running for the Senate now. One of their defining features of their campaign is, I'm not going to take AIPAC money, or that was a genocide, and these kinds of very front and center.
This, whoever he is, they're using him. They're using him to expose AIPAC and expose how the lobbyists work and exposing Israel. This is what I'm saying. They're being humiliated everywhere. And have a look at this. You know, that Mr. Fine, yes, Randy Fine, the one that goes on there about saying about Palestinians are dogs and all these disgusting things about them, you know, all these, you know, things that it's like he's got an invisible gun, like, to his head, and he's doing all these. He's gone way above and beyond. Have a look at this video of him that apparently you see him that he was going to be served by a process server, and you can't make this stuff up. You will see that he ducks his head and hides. Have a look at this. It's ridiculous. Have a look. There you go. Look at that. So the process server goes there to go and serve him, and to avoid court service, look, he goes and he ducks his head. Look at this. So there's the process server. Look, there he is. Look at right there. He ducks his head. Look, what an idiot.
Is he really hiding behind the desk? Under the desk? Wow.
Yes, that's your Congress right there, Congress people. Yeah, that's lovely. And you know what's funny? I mean, like I said, they're using this Epstein business as a way of political gain. And remember, both sides are playing the game. Okay, both sides. And you got Congresswoman Yasmin Ansari. Right now, she happens to be, I'm sure she's a Democrat. Yes, she is. She's a Democrat. Now, she's going around Epstein this and Epstein that and Epstein. And remember, what are they doing? They find an opportunity because they want to get back in. So they've got to use the Epstein, shall we say, and President Trump knows this, you know, try to use Epstein as a political gain. That's what it's all about. Oh, see, we are the good ones. The Democrats are the good ones. We are the ones exposing the Epstein network out there, blah, blah, blah. And this is the thing you need to remember. That, remember, left, right, they all serve the same beast. She's going out there making this big hoo-ha. On my way to Ohio for the Oversight Committee's disposition with Les Wexner, the man responsible for Epstein's wealth, we're going to follow the money, ask the hard questions, and keep pushing until this is the political, shall we say, circus or game that is on display. But did you know, like, you know, her little circus is being exposed because Yasmin has been paid by AIPAC $679,748. Now, remember, AIPAC they don't care. They're not partisan. They're bipartisan. It left and right, they all serve the same beast. Right, there you go. Now, think about this. This Epstein business, while everybody's tied up in there, the West Bank is being annexed. They're going after ancient lands, trying to whitewash things. You know, you keep focusing on the Epstein. You keep doing that. And then we're focusing on the political theatre aspect. They don't care about the children. All they care about is their politics and their brownie points. The goodies and the baddies. That's all an illusion. So like I said, look at this. $679,000. Yasmin Ansari, whatever her name is, okay? And she's playing the political game about Epstein.
Hey everyone, back at the airport. I'm heading to Ohio right now because tomorrow we have a major deposition as part of the Oversight Committee's work into the crimes committed by Jeffrey Epstein. So tomorrow's deposition is actually with a man named, looking for my gate, a man named Les Wexner. If you haven't heard of Les Wexner, he is the former CEO of the L Brands, which was a massive retail conglomerate that owned Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works, many other companies we're all very familiar with. He also had a decades-long financial and personal relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and he arguably is the person who is most responsible for Jeffrey Epstein's wealth, vast wealth of hundreds of millions of dollars, and therefore probably has information. And so we subpoenaed Les Wexner back in January. Yeah,
anyway, I don't know about you, but I've had enough of her garbage. She's going on and on and on about her crap. And we know at the end of the day, that's the beast she serves. Now, we know also that good old Miriam gives a lot of, Miriam Alderson, billions and billions of dollars that she owns, and she gives money hand over fist to all these lobbyists, doesn't she? It's not about the left and right, ladies and gentlemen. Remember Miriam Alderson? Oh, we love you, Donald Trump. We love you. Sheldon and I love you very much. Yes, okay, Miriam. We believe you're garbage, just like this business. Now, you know, she owns apparently some newspaper called Israeli Hayom or something like that. Israeli Hayom, let's have a look. Yes, if that's the case, have a look at this. Please explain, Miriam. I thought you were with President Trump. What's going on? Well, I thought you were with President Trump, and we love Trump. Trump 2028. That's her right there, ladies and gentlemen. Good old Miriam. President Trump knows think about this. She's a snake. He gave her the presidential medal. Remember that one? Her right there. And she is at the heart of New York City. Israel Hayom brings together the voices that's shaping the next chapters in the US. Israeli relations, Jewish unity, and global security. And that was back in Tuesday. It was on December 2nd, 2025. Yes, but it's relevant to the point. The point is this. This one right here, supposed to be supporting Trump. President Trump respects loyalty. She doesn't have any. After all, she gives plenty of money to AIPAC. AIPAC fund both sides of the coin. They give us the illusion that, oh no, we support Trump. No, you don't. Look at that. Secretary Hillary Rodham Clinton together with her. There's no loyalty, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to serving the same beast. Left and right, it doesn't matter. That's my point. Like good old Yasemin Ansari. You see what I mean? The illusion of democracy. The illusion of two ideologies, the left and the right. Have a think about that one for a moment. I think people really need to get it. Because you know what? The sooner we can put this business of you're on the left and I'm on the right. No, how about we get to the common sense part? How about we put that garbage to the side and really unite? Because you know what? It's always been about the children. Q drop 4908, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very important. Right? I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. We are experiencing the Great Awakening. Sometimes you can't tell the public the truth. You must show them. Optics are important. Public opinion. Optics, mass consciousness. Only then will people find the will to change. Crimes against children unite all humanity. Cross party lines. They are crossing party lines. It's not about the left and right. It's not about Republicans or Democrats or any other affiliations. It is about children. It's crimes against humanity. That's what it's all about. Now, this thing with, like I said, about Andrew getting arrested, this is just the beginning. Sure, he was released after 12 hours. We knew that was going to happen. Let's not kid ourselves. Okay, let's have a look at this little video here. Let's watch this. After 12 hours. So after 12 hours, he's released. What did you expect? But what has happened here, it's all about political, shall we say, it's all this political theatre that's going on, but also it's about shaping public opinion. And people are standing, like I said, they're standing up and they're saying, lock him up. Lock him up. Now, another thing is, you remember Mr. Peter L. Mandelson? He's been heavily implicated in the Epstein Files. Apparently, his little lobbying firm, down the gurgler, goes into administration after clients flee in a wake of Epstein revelations. So basically, people have seen what Peter Mandelson is all about. His lobbying firm has lost all reputability, and therefore it's going to have implications. And then further, having the ties to fellow friend pedophile Andrew Mountbatten and being named like that on the mainstream media ain't very good either. So we are seeing the downward slope. Now, President Trump, back in, I think in 2015, said this. I've got this little video here. And he said that it wasn't, looking good for, I think it was for Andrew. But anyway, let's have a look at this.
You raised the question of Jeffrey Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean,
what do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it.
You raised the question of Jeffrey Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean,
what do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell.
There you go. He threw Prince Andrew under the bus. So if he was, this is what I'm saying, people got to see what's really going on here. Look at it, ladies and gentlemen. He's thrown Lutnick. Remember, I showed you yesterday, he threw Lutnick under the bus. And then we got the flashbacks back in 2015. Look, February 27, 2015, he threw Andrew under the bus. Do you see what I mean? So when you look at it from a logical standpoint, why would he campaign on exposing Epstein Island and, all the filth? Why would he say back in 2015 about the cesspool being the island? Oh, the cesspool goes bigger than it's the Zorro Ranch as well. That thing should be dug up. And then why would he throw Prince Andrew or former Prince Andrew under the bus? You see what I mean? He knows what he's doing. This is the genius of this man. They're being exposed, and President Trump is right at the crux of it all. Now, it was under the trade envoy breaching the security of the, national security, of giving information to Epstein. Now, it should have been also about Guthrie. Virginia Guthrie, who long pursued justice in her allegations of rape against Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and ultimately won a settlement amid his denials. So why would Andrew back in the day give millions of dollars to Guthrie to shut her up if he wasn't guilty? If he wasn't guilty, he wouldn't have paid her. Do you see what I mean? Apparently she died suicide last year. The question is now we need to see that he gets arrested for the crimes of being on that island and the filth that he's partaken in. Now, Epstein bankrolled Fergie. Remember I showed you that thing with her ties also to Lutnick the other day. Don't watch the previous show. I did yesterday. Epstein bankrolled Fergie for 15 years. Fresh Sarah Ferguson bombshell as new emails revealed disgraced pedophile financially supported the former Duchess as soon as she divorced Andrew in 1996. So why wasn't this done before? That's my question. And President Trump is the president that brought it all to the table, where Obama didn't. Clinton didn't. So these people that are going against Trump, have a hard think about that. I think people forget about that little, it's not a little detail, it's a major detail. Now, Prince Andrew's the first royal to be arrested in nearly 400 years. Who was the other one? Let's have a look. Right, it was the last one since 400 years. In 400 years, just go away there, please. Let's see here. Who was King Charles the First? How amazing is that? Now, let me tell you, future will prove past. You know what that means? As it was done in the past, now it will be done in the future. So King Charles I, being the first of the King Charles, the last one will be the third. You see where this is going? How amazing is that? King Charles I was forced from his throne and put to trial. That means so can good old Charlie. Future proves past. How amazing is that, isn't it? Yes, it is. We can see how it's all going to go down. Now, Sarah Ferguson branded Virginia Giuffre as a salacious liar. No, the only one that's been lying, Fergie, has been you. And you've been under the, shall we say, under the financial helpings of Epstein for 15 years. You know, the thing is, I want to see the ball rolling. I want to just continue to roll since we've got some, kinetic energy going. So we've got the first one. They used it as the trade envoy business, but I would like to see that further escalate. Wouldn't you guys in the chat? Wouldn't you like to see it further escalate into something bigger? I want to. Now, Epstein victim describes how the pedophile raped her from the age of 14 and used her as a doll to show others what a good girl does. I showed you little samples of that business the other day. And slams former Prince Andrew for ignoring survivors. Okay, so Andrew's name's been put through the dirt today. And, it's just going to get worse and worse for him. And especially when you got former flashbacks of President Trump throwing him under the bus about, you should ask Prince Andrew about that cesspool over there back in 2015. And then you fast track forward. And then you got the gaggle. Have you seen that business? So President Trump is on the plane and you got lying lips Caroline behind him. And he's going, it's really it's not a very good thing that happened to Mountbatten. No, it's not a very good thing at all, President Trump. How about we look at this little video clip here? And this is what I'm saying. This has all been done by design. And remember what Q says as well, that he's got to play the neutral card when, we'll go to that one. Remember when Q said, when they start to get arrested, that President Trump is going to play the neutral card. How about we watch this video here?
Former Prince Andrew arrested by the police there, related to something with Jeffrey Epstein. Do you think people in this country at some point, associates of Jeffrey Epstein, will wind up in handcuffs too?
Well, I'm the expert in a way because I've been totally exonerated. That's very nice. I can actually speak about it very nicely. I think it's a shame. I think it's very sad. I think it's so bad for the royal family. It's a very, very sad. To me, it's a very sad thing. When I see that, it's a very sad thing. To see it and to see what's going on with his brother, who's obviously coming to our country very soon, and he's a fantastic man, the king. So I think it's a very sad thing.
Oh, I love how he's wearing that purple tie. You know what purple means. It's not about the left. It's not about the right. It's not about Republicans. It's not about Democrats. It's not about red. It's not about blue. When you mix those two colours together, you get purple. And what does he say? I belong to the party of common sense. And we know what common sense is all about. let's go back to the day of Thomas Paine when he said about common sense, George Washington did not belong to a party. And this is what President Trump is saying. It's not about left and right. And his Q says it as well. It's about preserving our way of life. And then all say, oh, it's too bad. I feel really bad and all that business. We know that that is just part of the show that must be played. And people are like getting aggravated and upset. And it's doing exactly what it's meant to do. Sometimes you can't tell them. You must show them. But when you go to the past, like I said, and you've seen what President Trump said about Andrew, don't ask Andrew about that cesspool, that dirty business over there. Go and ask him. He's throwing him under the bus again. And then New York Post, President Trump expressed sympathy for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the disgraced former prince who was arrested over his ties to pedophile again. That word has been pushed out there. It's like a, shall we say, a hook, in a song. It's basically been programmed in the mass consciousness. Pedophile. They're getting it by now. Now, like I said, in the Q drops, it says, I think it's in Q drop, let me see if I'm correct. Number 4, POTUS will not be addressing the nation on any of these issues. As people begin to be indicted, he must remain neutral for pure optical reasons. So he's got to remain, like I feel sorry for them, where realistically speaking, he doesn't. Don't ask Andrew about that cesspool. This is the genius of this man. This is the genius. And look, remember, he does read The Art of War. That's what he does. He reads The Art of War. And this is what I'm saying. People have got to get it. Have a look at this movement that he created. It is massive and it's worldwide. It transcends all barriers. Now, let me bring something to your attention. If he was evil, if he had our worst intentions, why did he create the movement? We know that he is Q+, and we know, I've deducted that Q is General Flynn and military intelligence. Now think about this. Why would they be working together? And President Trump on Truth Social, go and look. It's all factual what I'm saying. Has got Q+ on his collar. It's all over the place. You'll see posts with it. Why would he wake up the masses? And I mean us, all of us. If he had the worst intentions. Evil works in the dark. Ignorance is dark. This is called the Great Awakening for a reason. President Trump has been exposing. Did you hear Obama say about fake news? Oh, they're fake. No, President Trump has been the one. Let's get it right. Exposing the fakery of news, of the mainstream media, and also the Hollywood machine. Exposing it all. Exposing the Federal Reserve. Exposing the IRS. And then he's exposing all these others, yes, in his cabinet, but he's doing it in a very systematic. And look, I showed you the other day about Lutnick, how he threw him under the bus. And not just once, he's thrown him under the bus many times. So you think about this. Does evil want us aware? Does evil want us awake? No, it doesn't. It wants us ignorant. It wants us to be living in fear. It wants us to live in doubt. And there are so many people that I see that are living in fear, living in doubt, allowing the devil's workshop to entertain every worst possible scenario because they listen to others that go around and they spread fear based on sensationalism, based on hearsay, based on disinformation, misinformation, without any hardcore facts, evidence and receipts like I produce here each and every time. I've shown you time and time and time again about why we should trust President Trump. I've shown you that Q is real. I've given you many proofs and examples based on hardcore facts. Then you've got people that continue on, oh, does the purple mean that he's in the Illuminati? Really? I just explained what purple means. You know that President Trump talks about common sense, the party of common sense. He's not about the left, as Q says, or the right. The left are blue. The left are Democrats. The right are red and Republicans. When you mixed red and blue together, it shows you that he's not about any party. He's about the party of common sense. Let me just show you. When you mix, because you know I'm about the facts here, right? When you mix red and blue together, what color do you get? What color do you get? Does everybody see this? You get purple, don't you? So there are people that need to stop entertaining their worst fears. Because let me tell you something. If that had been the case, we all would have been screwed by now. We wouldn't be awakened. No, Satan does not want us awake. Satan wants us to be, or those that preach Satan ideology, want us to be ignorant, entertained. That's why they created the entertainment machine. The entertainment machine was created to keep us in a state of containment. Enter means to enter. You're going to entertain. Tain is short for containment, to contain something, and ment in Latin means the mind. That's why they created the entertainment machine, so that we're kept in a dumbed down, stupefied, ignorance is bliss state. That's why. Now, I say to people, if those that spread fear and doubt and the worst of the worst, stop enabling them. Everyone's got a choice. You want to continue believing in the worst of the worst, that's entirely up to you. But what I'm about, I'm an empowerer. I'm not a influencer. An influencer influences people for a purpose, narratives. Also, I'm not somebody that goes with what's popular. No, I go by things that are factual, that can be proven with facts, evidence and receipts. And then also, like I said, an empower somebody that empowers people. I empower people to what? To open their minds, to use their logic, not to use their emotion, to look at everything, use a discernment. And this is the thing. And you've heard me say this over and over again. Right? You can eat a fish, I can give you a fish and you can eat for a day. Or I can teach you to fish and you can eat for a lifetime. That's the difference between an empower. The other one's the influencer. I'm the empower. I'm teaching you everything so then you can be standing in your power. Because as Q says, knowledge is power. When things cannot be disputed, that's why I'm saying this is why they consider me to be dangerous, because I'm connecting the dots. I'm showing you things based on facts, evidence, and receipts. They try to paint me with the same brush, but they can't. Like, for example, the other day, let me show you what happened. YouTube. Did you see how yesterday, how I showed you that video to do with Stephen Colbert and how you had this baby and he was laughing it up? They're using comedy to say, oh, sacrificing the baby to some demon or Baal, whatever it was. Remember that video I showed you? And that's on the public domain. Did you know I got flagged for that by YouTube? I got flagged for that video and I had to remove that video because you know what it's all about? That video is on the public domain because it was out there. The problem is that, let me tell you why I had to remove it. It wasn't because of the fact that they used the excuse of it's a breach of copyright. This is exactly what they did. Really now, how can it be a breach of copyright if it's out in the public domain? How can it be a breach? But let me tell you why it was flagged. Because of the way I presented it. This is what you got to get. It's the way you present things, what you say, how you connect the dots, and then you tie it all in. They don't like it. They don't like it one bit. Because you know what it is? It's showing, like I was showing you yesterday, real examples, real things, real facts, evidence, and receipts, and tying it in. They didn't like that business. It's like this. These idiots that go out there with their TikToks, 6-second memory retention, they put out that video, blah, 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 that's it, 6 seconds later. But when you sit there and you actually connect the dots and you show real examples and you tie it in, that's when you're dangerous. And that's what they picked me up on. That's the problem. And this is the problem that I'm dealing with because you know what? Right at the top, you know who runs YouTube. You know who runs Rumble. You know who runs it all. It goes right to the top of BlackRock and Vanguard. And you know who's been implicated in the Epstein Files? BlackRock again. And you know BlackRock have been running the show. So in other words, they don't want the truth getting out there. So there's a tug of war going on. General Flynn has said it in his 5GW book, 5G warfare. We're living in it for 5th generation warfare. 5th generation warfare is not the kinetic war that that's different. 5th generation warfare has got to do with a war on the mind. Now let's talk about that for a moment. Because you know what? My question is, why isn't Zuckerberg in chains? Why aren't they, these technocrats, in chains? And I'll say why. Everything's been set up for a reason and they've got to fall in a certain sequence. But they're being exposed. Zuckerberg, just on Wednesday, went to court because of the fact that he's been taken to court of how Meta and all these Instagram and all that sort of thing, and I spoke about it very briefly, are very addictive and using the algorithm are able to manipulate the psychology of children. And there were parents there at the court, ladies and gentlemen, that lost their children to suicide because of that man. Not just that man, but that whole system. This whole system. TikTok and all the rest of it. Where's the justice? And let me tell you something. Mr. Zuckerberg also interfered in the elections. That's all been proven with the Zuckbucks. Why isn't he in jail? General Flynn's been going out there and saying it. Why aren't, they're able to arrest royal family, but realistically speaking, he's not royal. He was basically demoted. He's stripped of his royal title. So can you call him a royal? No. Let's be honest, but they actually started the process. He's saying out there, General Flynn is saying, why aren't there anyone in the United States that have committed these atrocities in jail? Why? Yeah, why? Obviously, things are going to be done by design, and it's got to do with public opinion again. It's got to do with the mass consciousness again. Now, like I said, Zuckerberg went to court. And then what ended up happening? You went to court, blah, blah, blah. Apologies to the parents. And is that supposed to make everything better, Mr. Zuckerberg? You just went home, jumped in your bloody limousine, went to your private, jet, and off you went home, and everything is nice and dandy again. Why isn't there any one of these? Because they're demons. They are demons. Like Bill Gates, still walking around the place. He went to some sort of AI summit in India. He was apparently scheduled to talk, but obviously because of the Epstein ghost, he couldn't speak. Sam Altman, another character, he's mentioned in the Epstein emails. Oh, don't you worry. I'll explain that one. Why aren't they in jail? Why aren't these technocrats in jail? Why do they continue to walk around the place? Like Zuckerberg happened to be President Trump's, and all the technocrats happened to be present at the inauguration. Now, can you see what's happening is people are angry, and they've got every right to be. They really got every right to be. And it's been, like I said, they're riled up, and they're doing it to, it's like this, they're doing it to the point where people are going to break. Something's going to give, and it's going to give very soon. Something has to give. Now, I've got this this video from Carl Higbee, which I found that is pretty much, shall we say, on the money. I know there are entities that are being used, like I said, Macy. And there are those that are, remember, Newsmax is owned or run by Chris Ruddy. This Ruddy. I think his name's Ruddy. I think Newsmax CEO. Now, what I'm finding strange is it's got like this, when you got some presenters that are flat stick for right or pro-Israel, or so, then there are these, shall we say, like Tucker Carlson, sort of, they break away, but they're still part of the Newsmax network. I think his name's Chris Ruddy. Let's just see. Christopher Ruddy, that's right. Yeah, he's pro-Israel. But yeah, what's interesting is Carl Higbee, he's saying a lot of things that he's pretty much nailing, which are all true. Let's have a listen.
Why was he talking about replacing Trump, swapping Pompeo as the VP with Mike Pence, and then using the 25th Amendment to make Pompeo the president? These are text messages with what is assumed to be Epstein, confirmed to be with Bannon. Quote, I like the idea of Pence stepping down in favor of Pompeo, so when it happens, he becomes president. That's from allegedly Epstein. And I'm thinking it. What do you mean by it? Bannon responding, that is his name, has this been shopped? Epstein replies, Rudy did lay out impeachment, Pelosi vote, and don't go after Ivanka. Bannon says, great. Great. Impeaching Trump? Well, I mean, we now know Pompeo was not a product of MAGA doctrine and was heavily critical of Trump once he left his first term, showing his true colors. And Bannon wanted him to become president? Am I reading that? There's a possibility that Bannon did nothing wrong and these are being misinterpreted. There's a possibility, giving him the benefit of the doubt here, considering he was, like, I defended this guy. I thought he was good for the administration initially. But there's some splaining to do about beyond talking about a documentary to revitalize Jeffrey Epstein's image.
That's the problem. And he's right. Number one, Bannon's gone out and said a lot of things. Why isn't he brought in front of Congress and sat there and made to explain what's going on? Why? That's my point. There's no justice. Legislative branch failed. Judicial branch failed. Executive branch failed. But think about this. Has there ever been justice? It's a future proves past again. It's exposure. You've got to look at it from this standpoint. It's all exposure. But you've gone out and said all these things. A lot of these entities have gone and said all these things in the Epstein files, in the emails. Why aren't they brought to justice? Excuse me. Why aren't they asked relevant questions? People are seeing a failure. People have lost trust in the government as an entirety and the system. Because you know what? It's exposing that system. It's always been a failure. It's just been exposed. It's before everyone was worrying about, being entertained and all that. There are still people that are ignorant and stupid, unfortunately. I don't want to know about it. I just want to watch my football. Yeah, there are those. But there are those that have woken up and they want real answers. And they're seeing exactly the failure. So they're saying, well, hold on a minute. If they lied to us about this, this, and this, how many times have they lied to us about? How many times in the past have they lied? Who's lied? Okay. And why do they continue to hold on to these lies? It's exposure. Now, like I said, Zuckerberg went out there, did that whole song and dance, went home and everything's fine again. No, it's time for some justice. There needs to be accountability and transparency and justice. We need it. Otherwise, like I said, there's going to be people and it's tearing everything apart. People need to see that these entities are going to be held accountable. Now, this has all been done, like I said, for a reason. Remember, how do you awaken a sleepwalker? Do you wake him abruptly or do you wake him up gently with an increase of intensity? Well, you can liken to what we've been going through, that whole process of awakening humanity, reaching a level of awareness. Think about it. The people, the mass consciousness, have been put in a spell. They've been programmed. They've been going through what they call education, which is not real education. Basically, it's like a grooming for becoming debt slaves, subservient to the system, where they say, we represent the people. We are public servants. No. No, the only one you're serving are your masters. You're not serving the people. Now, this whole system that has been set up with the Rockefellers, you educate, to indoctrinate. It's indoctrination camps. Have a look at how they indoctrinate the masses, how we've been, going through this whole system. Then you've been told to fear this, you've been told to fear that, you've been told, this is all through part of your education process, indoctrination process. You've been told it's normal to pay all these taxes. You've got to fear the authorities. This, that. We've been programmed. And then also you think religion isn't tied to this? Oh, don't you worry. They're involved as well. Then you're born into an environment where your parents have been conditioned. It goes back down to the root. So then you've got to undo. Now think about this. Humanity has been ingrained with all these different traits. Fear, doubt, guilt, okay? All these control mechanisms. What does the Rockefellers say? We don't want a nation of thinkers. We want a nation of workers. Well, they're the ones that created this whole education curriculum. Robert Maxwell, you've seen that he was a publisher of books, education books. You think that was done by coincidence? Done by design. And then you've been indoctrinated, all these things, your religion, this whole thing, what political, remember, your parents, you better vote for this, you better vote for that, you better vote for this. That's indoctrinated again. So it's fully been programmed. I'll get to the point. So think about this. Humanity has been so programmed, so indoctrinated, then they entertained by Hollywood. Children grow up in front of the televisions back in the day, and now they grow up in front of the iPads. Social media grows up your children today. More indoctrination, more control, more fear. The whole system has been set up against us, ladies and gentlemen. That's the reality. Now you think about this. You've had to awaken humanity out of that mess. How do you do it? Think about this. You can get rid of the ones that did it. The ones that did it up the top, you can get rid of the ones that are involved. But then you're left with that damage that has already been done. It's been ingrained in humanity. How do you undo all that? That's what I'm saying. It had to be done in stages. Liken the mass consciousness of people to be sleepwalkers in a spell. Conditioned. Indoctrinated. Then you've had to awaken them gently out of that spell. That's been part of the Great Awakening. Think about that word, Great Awakening. So you had to do things in stages. Have a look at why this has taken so long. Why has this taken longer than World War II? Because World War I, World War II was funded by both sides, like left and right. Same thing. Both serve the same beast. The Axis and the Allies, all that sort of crap run by the top tier. Pulling the strings up the top. Switzerland, shall we say neutrality, the land of neutrality. No, that's where the puppet master was sitting there, the Rothschilds, banking. We've spoken about that many times. getting back to what I'm saying, we are getting rid of the world's evil. And when I mean evil, evil is ideology, satanic ideology, getting rid of that ideology that created this whole system to control humanity, debt slavery, when people are too busy trying to make it ends meet. Nose to the grindstone. They've got no time to do their research, real research. They've got no time. They go come home and from their just over broke. They got to bring up their children. Their children being brought up anyway by the TV or social media, iPads these days, computers. Why do remember with back in the old days when we used to do mathematics, we used to sit there and show our working out. That shows that our thought processes, our logical processes were working. Why did they all of a sudden shift to you got to have an iPad, you got to have a computer, otherwise it's part of the curriculum. It's part of the indoctrination. Then you got to undo all that business. Think about that. You got to undo all that business. This is part of the Great Awakening. And bring humanity to a level of awareness where you think about this. This is why I'm saying I know we're heading towards the end game. And I'll tell you why. Because you could see how humanity's been awakened. You could see that the children will unite humanity, and you can't tell them, you must show them, and they've been shown through the Epstein Files. That's just the beginning. People want justice now. And think about this. We've all been going out there, all of us, planting seeds in people's heads. We've been doing this for years now. You know this. All of us have. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're this, you're that. But those seeds are there. Now those seeds are starting to sprout. The ones that you planted out there, all of us did. They're sitting there having their oh shit moment right now. The crickets are getting louder. You know what I'm talking about, the good old crickets. They're getting louder. Right? And put it this way, they're in their thoughts and they're thinking maybe they got it right in the first place, because we've been talking about Epstein for a very long time. We've been talking about the children. We've been talking about the tunnels, and that's all been coming out through the Epstein Files. But look at this whole process. They've been awakening them using the mainstream media, drip, 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 drip. And it's been an increase in intensity as we've hit this year. Now, you think about this. They've reached a certain level of awareness, and that level of awareness is they don't trust the news anymore. They don't trust mainstream media. They call out social media being bullshit. They're against what's happening with the children. They don't trust the government. They don't trust anyone. So I would say they're pretty much awakened. Have a look before to now. Remember when I said, and those that have been watching my show for years would see that I've been consistent when I've been saying there'll be a time when it comes towards the end where they'll be jumping on top of their soapboxes, demanding justice organically. And here we are. I've been right all along. Everything that I've been saying, I've been hitting the mark. Now, they're at a level of where whatever they bring, so they reach the level of awareness. Now, they've lost trust in the system. They've lost trust in the government. They're awakened, they're aware. And now it's time, they're ready to receive whatever comes their way. This has been part of the Great Awakening. So, in other words, from sleepwalker to being aware and ready to accept more. That is exactly what they want. When I mean they, we know who. And this is where we are heading towards the end game. And I'll tell you, it's getting more and more intense. I mean, the black curtain has been pulled down from the social media technocrats, what they've been doing. Have a look. They've been called out publicly in the mainstream media. They've been exposed, how they've been involved with manipulating and psychologically manipulation of young people and people using their algorithms. That's why Zuckerberg was left alone. Do you see what I mean? So President Trump plays the neutral card. He had him there. Friends close, enemies closer. Zuckerberg and the gang were at the inauguration. But let me tell you something. You've got to obviously swing it in another direction, and that's exactly what's happening. Zuckerberg's being exposed. Elon's being exposed. Oh, yes, don't you worry. Elon's been exposed. Not only through the files, but also, have you heard about his cars? They're not doing too well. The sales have dropped. Confidence has dropped in all Elon Musk's, shall we say, products. In fact, his cars have been going down, when I say into the proverbial shitter, pretty much. The social media have been working against them. Has anyone seen a Tesla head towards a lake when you're told not to go towards a lake? Or have you seen a Tesla, for example, run over people and call it autopilot? They're being exposed. And people are just bringing it all out. And apparently, Tesla's cars have been killing people. And then, obviously Elon's got billions of dollars and, nearly a trillionaire. And he's got money to be able to shut people up. You know what I mean? No, but it's not working because mainstream media are leaking it all out there. They're leaking it that his cars aren't doing too well and they're not doing what they're supposed to do. He's going out there calling it an autopilot. No, it's auto shit. That's what it is. And then these technocrats are being exposed. Have a look at this. Amazon. Good old Bezos. 4 families whose loved ones died after consuming sodium nitrate. That's what they give isn't it what they do to execute people? Sodium nitrate or something along those lines. Alleged that Amazon sold the compound despite being aware it could be used for suicide. Go to Amazon and order a suicide, please. That doesn't look good for Bezos, does it? So the technocrats are being called out over and over again. Then, Peter Thiel connected to Epstein, not good look either. Bill Gates, not a good look. But then you got Sam Altman. Good old Sammy. Sam Altman, the one that is about OpenAI. This guy right here went to the summit. This one. Okay, they're talking about AI and how great it is. And then he says that if you let super intelligence run on its own, it's going to basically destroy humanity, so forth and so forth. But OpenAI CEO Sam Altman says we should remain humble about what we still don't know about super intelligence. So It's gone now from artificial intelligence to super intelligent. In other words, we're all screwed. You know what I mean? If you leave it run to its own devices. That's why President Trump needs to put the infrastructure in place to control it. He pointed to the uncertainty around how the technology could be used for totalitarian governments, meaning governments that want to basically rule the world, while speaking at the AI summit. Let's have a listen.
We understand that with technology this powerful, people want answers. But it's important to be humble about what we don't know and always remember that sometimes our best guesses are wrong. Most of the important discoveries happen when technology and society meet, sometimes have some friction, and co-evolve. For example, we don't yet know how to think about some superintelligence being aligned with dictators and totalitarian countries. We don't know how to think about countries using AI to fight new kinds of war with each other. We don't know how to think about when and whether countries are going to have to think about new forms of social contracts. But we think it's important to have more understanding and society-wide debate before we're all surprised. We understand that with technology, this...
Okay, so he's going on about, AI and super intelligence and how, totalitarian governments, are they going to, can they take advantage of? Oh, yeah, they can do that business. But, President Trump has said about the dangers of AI when he was on the campaign trail. He spoke about it. And you're seeing it right now. I mean, it's been deployed everywhere. So, for example, it's at a point now where it's taking over Hollywood. Did you see that one? No, goodbye to the stars. Bye-bye, Hollywood. AI's taken over. And it's going to do a better job. So, in other words, anyone can go and make a Hollywood blockbuster movie. Think about this. Anyone can make a blockbuster movie and watch it at within, say, half an hour. All you have to do is you write the script, put it into AI, and AI generates it. So a Hollywood movie that would take 2 years to make now takes 30 seconds. You know what I mean? This is where we are right now. And are they using AI against Hollywood? Pretty much. Pretty much. They're using AI to destroy Hollywood. And now the Hollywood stars are jumping up and down on, we're useless now. You've always been useless. Playing that little make-believe games and doing all that nefarious stuff and making a shitload of cash doing it. No, it's time for you and your scum pedo wood to go straight to hell. Okay? And AI, they're going to use AI to do it, which is genius. Which I admire. I mean, who needs these stupid actors? We can go and write any movie we want. And at the end of the day, do we want to be entertained? Or would we rather know that what's going on? Know the truth. Learn important life skills. Knowledge. Knowledge is power. That's the thing. Now, getting to my point, Sam Altman, mentioned in the Epstein Files. Oh, yes, he was mentioned in the Epstein Files. Let me explain. Let me give you the lowdown, okay? Here we go. Let me just bring that up here. That's why when he was in India, when they did the hands up business, did you see that? When they're all in India talking about, there was the head of Google there, there was, all these other representatives of AI there. Modi was in the middle. Modi's been mentioned in, in Epstein Files as well. And he didn't want anyone to touch his hand because it was like, if I touch my hand, that means I'm going to be associated next to you and you're on the Epstein Files. Piss off. I don't want that. No, sorry. You've been mentioned. There we go. So Jeffrey Epstein, do you know them? Please not. So he's sending a message to Joshua Buck. I'll explain who Joshua Buck is. Except for Ed Bowden. So he doesn't know Ed Bowden, not personally, but he knows Sam Altman. There you go. So he knows. Now, Sam Altman has signed up, as far as I know. As always, chances that the current plan for restoring memory from Connectome connectome works day and quite close to nothing, but absolutely zero structure might be preserved than traditional cryo, meaning cryogenics, but tissue gone. What are they referring to? Well, let me give you the heads up. Joshua back. We go to his website, nectome.com, and basically this is the thing. What they're all about is how can they extract from the brain memories. Think about that, memories. How can they extract from the brain memories? What would you want to do that, right? Well, then let's go into Joshua Back's background. There he is over here. Artificial intelligence, science and artificial intelligence, how human intelligence and consciousness can be modeled computationally. Right? So in other words, let's go to Nectome. Let's see what they're all about. Advancing the science and technology of memory. Sam Altman's been implicated. Sam Altman, OpenAI, artificial intelligence. You know where this is going to go. Or hopefully you do. Let's go to about them. What are they all about? Nectome is a research organisation dedicated to advancing the science of memory. We design and conduct experiments to discover how the brain physically creates memories, and we develop biological preservation techniques to be able to preserve the physical traces of memory. AI, memory. To me, ladies and gentlemen, it's got to do with extraction. It's got to do with how can we extract memory. AI, artificial intelligence, robots. Not long ago, ladies and gentlemen, Tucker Carlson was on the show with somebody, and they said about disembodied intelligence. In other words, demons. They were talking about creating artificial intelligence robots, so you give them the functionality, then giving them also, think about this, what do these elites want to do? They want to live forever. You've obviously seen the movie with Johnny Depp, how he transferred his consciousness into artificial intelligence. That's exactly what they want to do. They want to continue living forever in a machine. Do you see where this is going? And Jeffrey Epstein, obviously interested in the unknown. There we go. So Sam Altman has signed up, as far as I know. Sam Altman mentioned. You see, this is the thing. I mean, these technocrats, how do you think that Elon's going to get to Mars in his lifetime? How does Bezos think he's going to create this space world up there that everyone's going to live up there nice and happily, all the technocrats, all the rich? How's that going to all happen in his lifetime? Or are they planning to have a look at that? How do you extract the memory from the brain? And then also using artificial intelligence, which is very interesting, a very important, shall we say, point that was made on Tucker's show about how they used artificial intelligence to house disembodied, beings. So there's a lot of interesting things that, they're exploring, and you know that Epstein was also into the unknown. He was into the unknown. Let's have a look at this video here, which is very interesting.
Do the people involved in the creation of AI believe that it's a spiritual entity, that it's more than a machine?
So this is Tucker, the $1 trillion question. They talk about creating artificial intelligence. The real question, the real thing we should be concerned about, are you creating an artificial intelligence, or are you giving a body to a pre-existing intelligence that previously wasn't incarnated in the physical world? So, I mean, here's a quote from Turing. We shall not go any further into the nature of this oracle apart from saying that it cannot be a machine. What a lot of people are concerned about, and what Silicon Valley is seemingly getting up to, okay, so a machine can't be aware of what it's doing. If there is such a thing as demons, angels, spirits, as Aleister Crowley called them, disincarnate intelligences.
Disincarnate meaning intelligence without a physical body.
Yeah, could we be creating a physical body for the demonic?
Very
Do the people
interesting-
involved in...
Oops, very interesting point, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting point. Now, you could see that Jeffrey Epstein was involved with the technocrats, the academics, the intellectuals. He was also funding them. He also funded that gentleman that I just spoke about, which is Joshua Buck. His association with Jeffrey Epstein, with Joshua Buck. It says here, in 2019, Science reported that Buck received funding from Jeffrey Epstein after his first conviction, signing a conference paper which included funding acknowledgement from Epstein. And he received a total of $300,000. Very interesting, isn't it? Epstein had his fingers in a lot of pies. Finger in a lot of pies, so to speak. So you could see that what their intentions are, what they're trying to do, it all makes perfect sense. What they're trying to do is work out how do we biologically make memories? Then working out that, they're able to extract that. Why they want to extract it? Then you're seeing the connections to do with artificial intelligence. Well, how did you think I found that website? It was mentioned here on Epstein's email. And why would they want to extract, memories to transference? Have a look at that movie, Transference, with Johnny Depp. How he transferred his memories, consciousness as they call it, into the machine. So they can continue to live forever. There we go. Memory extraction. We feel that long-term memory extraction experiments are very unexplored, but we also think that the nectome can make significant progress in that area. There you go. Facts, evidence, and receipts, as always here. Always bring it to you. You see what's going on. We need to be aware. We need to be aware what these technocrats are doing. We need to be aware of their game. President Trump knows what they're up to. And he's got to play the game. You've got to play the inside, if you will. You've got to gain their trust. It's like this. You know, when you got these undercover, the undercover police that go in there and they infiltrate gangs to get to the top, but then they've got to pretend that they're one of them. President Trump has to do the same thing. He's got to gain their trust, and in the end, he's going to throw them all under the bus. Now, Epstein was involved, and it all goes to the Mossad as well. Remember, the Mossad are behind a lot of things. After all, he was connected to the former Israeli Prime Minister that they set up surveillance staff, ex-intelligence staff, right, at his honeypots operation. All these honeypots, so the one over in New York, over in Epstein Island. And obviously is Zorro. Waiting for Zorro. Was Jeffrey Epstein a Mossad asset hiding in plain sight? You're seeing that it's just coming more and more to the forefront. Epstein was convinced that Ghislaine Maxwell's newspaper magnate father was assassinated by the Mossad. Wouldn't surprise me. Even though he was a Mossad asset, when you're done with your usefulness, you would get rid of that person, wouldn't you? Then we got a retired Mossad agent, ladies and gentlemen, known as Ari Ben Menash, that spoke to RT. The entire Epstein Island operation was an intelligence mission aimed at entrapping politicians, just like the honey trap operation run by the CIA, known as the Playboy Mansion. Politicians, celebrities, media figures, and decision makers. That's the key word there. Decision makers. The ones that control the world through sexual blackmail, recruiting them as Israeli agents. This is from a former Mossad agent, ladies and gentlemen. Have a listen.
Some years ago now, Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell, there are reports she's in Paris. You maintain that it was your employer, Robert Maxwell, owner of the Daily Mirror. You say that he was an Israeli agent, and as was his daughter.
He was not my employer. I would like to correct that.
Okay.
We worked together with him.
And you say that his daughter, Ghislaine, also, though, worked for Israel, and it was Robert Maxwell who introduced Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell way before the 1990s, as mainstream media is reporting.
Correct. Mr. Epstein was introduced to Ms. Maxwell probably sometime in the 80s. And Mr. Maxwell also thought he might be introducing a fellow to date his daughter. He tried to do a favor to his daughter, to find her a shidduch, as they say in Hebrew, a match.
Okay, and that didn't really quite work out. I suppose what the most alarming allegations that you've been making are that the entire Epstein operation was a honey trap operation to entrap politicians, policymakers, celebrities, people in the media eye, basically to become Israel's assets.
Correct. That it became basically an intelligence operation to entrap different politicians around the world.
Around the world, ladies and gentlemen, around the world. You heard it from a retired Mossad agent, and went out there and put it out on record. It's all out there. Why isn't Israel being implicated publicly? I mean, they are being implicated publicly, but why aren't they there are people in jail? That's my question. We know why, because everything has to be done in a sequence, and saving, as Q says, Israel left for last. Not mentioned a single time. Purposely done. Because everything links up over there. You think it's a coincidence why President Trump has got his armada heading up that way to the Middle East? Because that's where they all are, over there. House of Sword, Qatar, Jordan, all them, all implicated over there. Israel right at the crux of it. It's been on the emails too. You got former Mossad, retired Mossad agent telling you what it was set up for. How long are we going to play the game and pretend that, no. It's time for the truth to be known. Did Epstein really murder Sorry, suicide himself? No. Let's have a look at this. Epstein autopsy, a veteran forensic pathologist, so somebody that's been in the field, who witnessed Jeffrey Epstein's autopsy, is calling for a deeper review of his death, saying newly released documents only reinforced his belief that Epstein was murdered. Officials may decoy Epstein, look at this, is in the New York Post, Epstein body to thwart the media and move pedo's corpse unnoticed. Really? Are we going to believe this garbage? You believe that this is what I'm saying. There's so many things that we've been gaslit, lied to, and deceived about. Pathologist at Jeffrey Epstein's autopsy demands new investigation, possible murder. Doctors at Jeffrey Epstein's post-mortem say that the pedophile was strangled and not hanged. He was strangled. The mounting evidence Epstein was murdered, a mysterious flash of orange, and then the doctor who says he was strangled. No, it's about time that we had the truth. Don't you think so? About a lot of things, to be quite honest. You know what's interesting? When President Trump talks about Norway, that's funny. Norway was the one that controls, I think he was talking about the Nobel Peace Prize. But he kept on saying Norway, 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 prior to what came out with the Epstein Files. I thought about it, and I thought, you know what? You were giving us comms. Because you know what? Norway's been heavily implicated in the Epstein Files, the princess and others that were leading the government. I think a prime minister of Norway. President Trump was giving us comms. That's why people are saying, why is he saying that Norway controls the Nobel Peace Prize? Remember? You all should remember that one, right? And he said it over and over again. And people think, oh, he's losing his mind. No, he's actually giving us comms. He gave us comms to let us know what was coming our way. And he gave it to us many times, and I've shown you this in my decodes. Now, President Trump has a way of communicating and giving us communications. And there you go. Let's go back to what he said about Norway, like I said, let me see if I can find the article. Trump, Norway, and let's put down Nobel Peace Prize. Let's have a look. And you got here Donald Trump threats to Nobel snubs as EU trade war looms. So he was blaming Norway. There we go. In Axios. Trump blames Norway for Nobel loss. He was giving us comms, ladies and gentlemen. He was telling us something's coming your way and it's got to do with Norway. And lo and behold, we did. Norway was implicated heavily. The Norway's princess, let's go Norway's Princess Epstein. Okay. There we go. Crown Princess Mehdi. I spoke about Prince Mehdi Moret. In the spotlight. He was giving us comms, ladies and gentlemen, over and over again. Then he gave us comms to do with the Norwegian, there we go, what's his name? The Prime Minister. And he was implicated as well. So let's go there and let's bring up that article. So Norway, Prime Minister Epstein. There we go. He was implicated. So we got that going on. We got that going on. And then I think her son copped it for rape. So the Prince of Norway rape. Rape trial. So we got that, and then President Trump was telling us about using Norway prior to these major reveals, using the Nobel Peace Prize as an excuse. Oh, he's genius. Thank you very much, President Trump. 5 of 5. Your comms are crystal clear. We really get you. Another thing I'm going to reveal in the first time on the Freedom Channel broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, and you're only going to get it here, okay, is you've all heard about this little syndrome. Right? Let me just bring that up. Okay. Now, let's get this business going here. Right. And I'll do this little bit here, guys. I'm just all preparing stuff here for you so then we can get it. Okay. It'll all make sense in a moment, guys. Now, you all heard about this business, right? Trump derangement syndrome. Everyone's got Trump derangement syndrome, blah, blah, blah. Everyone allegedly, there we go. So let's read it. Trump derangement syndrome is a term often that is used to describe intense, irrational, and extreme negative reaction to Donald Trump, allegedly causing critics to lose perspective. Supporters use it to dismiss critics, while it sometimes used to describe the emotional exhaustion felt by his opponent. Yes, if you believe that load of garbage, good luck to you. Let me tell you what that really means. Trump derangement syndrome, or known as TDS, what President Trump talks about. Okay, let's see who's got Trump derangement syndrome. Let's talk about Hillary Clinton. Okay, she's got it, apparently. It'll make the perfect sense, don't you worry. Trump derangement syndrome. Hillary Clinton. Okay, she's obviously got Trump derangement syndrome. She's been called out for having it, and all these others, right? Well, what does TDS mean? TDS means this, ladies and gentlemen. The deep state. You saw it here first time on the Freedom Channel broadcast. TDS means the acronym, the deep state. Oh, Hillary's got TDS. Oh, she certainly has. So-and-so's got TDS. They certainly have. The deep state. There you go. So everything has a reason and a rhyme for why President Trump says what he says. There's always a reason. They think that he makes all these, he doesn't know what he's talking about, really. He's not stupid. In fact, he's highly switched on and highly intelligent. Okay, that's what he does. And he does things for a reason. Right? He does things for a reason, to expose entities. Right? Done by design. That's what people got to get. Now, you're seeing Lindsey Graham going out there and calling all these nasty names to the, shall we say, the supreme leader, going out there deliberately to go and stir the pot. And this is the thing, you got to remember that this has all been done for a reason. Exposure, 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 and showing what Lindsey Graham is all about. How Lindsey Graham is as corrupt as you can get. And he's basically Israel's bitch, okay? Then you got all this business. People are getting pissed off with this one. Palantir pays zero federal income tax despite explosive growth, largely due to Trump tax law. So, they're showing that, hey, under Trump, these guys are having a free ticket. Okay, they're doing that. No. It's about, how can I say, friends close, enemies closer, and they're going to fall down. Don't you worry. It's about setting them up for the fall. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is not about left and right. What if I was to tell you that the left and right spectrum does not exist? It's true, it doesn't exist. The far left doesn't exist, and neither does the far right. The left and right don't exist. It's all an illusion, illusion of democracy. And basically, it's to obviously control humanity. Have a look at the different categories. So you got here far left, up the top radical, far right reactionary, left of center liberal, libertarians. You got those, and then you got here right of center conservative. Right in the center, we call them moderates. Oh, everyone's got a little category to be pigeonholed into, isn't it? That's what it's about. Control, 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 control. An illusion that we're all being, oh no, you're on the left, you're on the right, really. Really now. Now, there's a lot of, shall we say, let me see if I can get this business going. And I'll explain this one. I love decoding, guys. I really do. I really enjoy decoding. And like I said, things have been done by design to expose entities. All right? Done by design. Let's see, where is it? Where did I save that one, guys? There's a lot of files to go through here. You would have seen this business about Bill Maher. Yes, sometimes in life you waste time. We know Bill Maher. We know if you go in the Q drops, we know that he wears the little red shoes, and we know the red shoes is no good. We know that he's involved in, what did he call it? Child love, his little production. I mean, who names their production child love? So we know that he ain't good. Through one of his friends, also a friend of mine. Now, who is he speaking about? Who is he speaking about there? A mutual friend, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, who do you think he's speaking about? Good old Kid Rock. That's who he's speaking about. He's exposing Kid Rock through one of his friends, who is also a friend of mine. And I agreed. Apparently when he went there, he was extremely nervous, good old Billy. And he had zero confidence, okay? And he needed, yes, thank you very much, Coco, a vodka tonic. I've never felt like this before. I'm actually scared. Great. The word great doesn't mean great at all. Basically, you could see that what he's doing is exposing Bill Maher for being a piece of shit, a degenerate, and then also by exposing their mutual friend. And you know what the mutual friend, I've been through that many times about good old Kid Rock or Pedo Rock and who he's all about and his connections and all that sort of stuff. Facts, evidence and receipts over and over again. Don't need to keep going over it again. Okay? But he ain't good. Right? That's what it's all about. Exposure, exposure, dead. That's very interesting, isn't it? Mirrors, dead, dead. Dead. We could say there are political decoys being used. That's all factual as well. We know that There are political decoys that have been used in the past, and not only political decoys, military and civilian decoys have been used. That's all been proven. That's all been factual. I don't want to repeat myself over and over again. I've shown that many, many times. He is no different than Kimmel, Fallon, or Colbert. So he's showing you, well, we know what Stephen Colbert's all about. Oh, he's about the Satan worshipping. And remember I showed you the other day with a baby and feeding the baby and you're laughing it up using comedy? That's what they do. These laughing boys, they use comedy, but they're nefarious. So he's saying they're no different to them. So he's putting them in the same basket. The greatest of all time, GOAT. Lovely, isn't it? Greatest of all time. GOAT, yeah, Baphomet. Baphomet, Billy Boy. Billy Boy was, okay, we know what he's been involved with the red shoes and all that. We all know what that means. We know that Stephen Colbert was there doing that whole business I showed you the other day, which obviously YouTube got me to remove because they don't like me connecting the dots about them, you know, Stephen Colbert sacrificing a baby to Moloch or whatever the hell it was. But this is exposure. There we go. TDS. What did he put TDS there? That Bill's got TDS. Well, then Bill has got what? He's part of the deep state. There you go. Part of the deep state. TDS, a very serious disease. Bill's got it. He's part of the deep state. Now, obviously, you've got to look at the whole thing, and then you can see that what he's talking about, Bill ain't good. Bill is like the others. The others are in the same basket. Do you see what I mean? How comms are very important? So you got the TDS, the deep state. You got him saying about Bill not being good. We know Bill ain't good. When we go to the Q drops clearly show it. We've known this for so many years. Okay, let's go to Bill Mayer. Okay, look, I said, which person calls their production, kid love, not child love or children love, kid love production. That word kid, think about that one for a moment. Kid love production. Kid rock. It all makes perfect sense. Can you see what I mean? Kid, because, you know, I've shown you that good old pedo rock was into if there's grass on the field, it's play ball and all the other business and all the other ties to all the pedophilia business as well. So it makes sense that they call him Kid Rock. Yeah, what are you rocking, kid? I don't want to even know about it. And then you got here, Kid Love. So hold on a minute. They seem to be in the same. Do you see the common denominator? Kid Rock, Kid Love. The common denominator here is kid. Then you got all this business of what he says in the past. The worst, they said, Michael Jackson did, was a little grabby under the covers. If you could go back and trade that experience, being beat up at age 12, meaning masturbated, by a pop star, I would do that in a New York second. Really now, Bill. Then you got, but with Deborah LaFave screwed her 14-year-old boy student. The crime is that we didn't get it on videotape. What does Epstein say? Live by the tape, die by the tape. That's what he said to Macron about Macron's boyfriend. Yeah, we know that he's gay anyway. Anyway, boy student, the crime is that we didn't get it on videotape and was being taken advantage of. I wish I had been taken advantage of like that. What a memory that she gave him. Oh, no, that gives me all the vote of confidence, Billy. Yeah, especially those little red shoes of yours. And you make Kid Rock. Now that I know what the common denominator is, and what's very interesting, which is, I'm going to show you in a moment, it's that little kid word right there. They obviously into kiddie stuff. She is in jail because she's in love. That's how I view it. Mayer said this about a Seattle school teacher convicted of having sex with a 12-year-old student and getting pregnant by him. Isn't that lovely, Billy? There you go. So Kid Love Productions, already the writing's on the wall. Now, can you blame President Trump? We know what President Trump was doing. He was exposing this entity. He was just doing it deliberately by design. And have a look at this. There we go. Bill Maher, nervous. Yeah, he was nervous because he knew what was waiting for him. He felt nervous the moment that he saw Trump. And maybe he saw the military with a gun behind his head. That's what he needed, that vodka tonic. God knows. And I'm actually scared. In one respect, it was somewhat endearing, really. Great. Yeah, nothing but great. Oblivion. Hopefully they sent him to oblivion. And also, I hope, that as well. And we know that political decoys exist. And look at that, dead for years. Yes, dead for years. He's no different than these cast of characters. That's all been proven. He's slightly more talented. Does that mean he's slightly more corrupt, ladies and gentlemen? He's slightly more talented, meaning corrupt, than these three? Oh, yes. Bill Maher is a highly overrated lightweight. Greatest of all time, GOAT, Baphomet, come back to the White House with his friend, Pedo Rock, Kid Rock, right? He's got TDS, the deep state, which is a very serious disease like Hillary and the gang have got. It all makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Do you see what it means when you look at things differently? Logically, it all makes perfect sense. Now, do you remember that little ad with, let's see if we can play it again, with Kid Rock and what's his name? RFK Jr. Yes, that one right there. Let's watch this little ad here. Let's just wind it. Can I tell you something? It looks like Brokeback Mountain over there, business going on with the jeans and the jumping in the bath and the tops off and stuff. I mean, it looks pretty trippy and weird. And at that point, ladies and gentlemen, he found Jesus, just like Elon Musk. At that point right there. And when he was doing the devil's horns, that's when he found Jesus. I mean, think about this. I mean, can you believe that these... Now, I'll just stop it there for a moment. Can you believe that these conservatives, because it's not about the right and left, I'm equally, against both of them, that, they go out there and they preach that he's found Jesus and that he's a great Christian role model. Is that lovely? Does he go to church in there and give his little middle finger and do the satanic, business, the Satan sign, the devil's horns? Does he do that business when he's in church? Has anyone done that with their jeans on? This is all done deliberately, guys. You know that. All done by design, deliberately. Where is the kid? Where's the kid? Where's the kid? Kid Rock? Kid. Why don't you say, where's Kid Rock? Where's Kid? The kid is over here. RFK is over there with his friend Billy. Kid Love. Kid Love? Are you talking about Kid Love, RFK Jr.? Are you talking about where's Kid? Which kid are you talking about? Kid Love over there? Don't you find it coincidental that President Trump exposed Mr. Billy Boy over there. And then he happens to have Kid Love Production. And then you got Kid Rock. The common denominator is Kid. How many coincidences before you call it mathematically impossible? Isn't that funny?
Where's Kid?
And then this is resemblance, ladies and gentlemen, of Playboy Mansion. And it goes back to what I said about Playboy Mansion. All right? Does everyone remember when I exposed Kid Rock? And how he and Eminem were involved with the Playboy girls and they were snorting coke. It's very interesting, isn't it, that these parallels are being drawn. Then you got RFK Jr. said that he snorted coke on a toilet seat back in the day. Then you go back and you see back in the day Kid Rock snorted coke with Eminem and Playboy Mansion, the girls there and all that. But then you got that little picture here, which is resembling Playboy Mansion's grotto. Did you know about the little grotto over there, ladies and gentlemen, where they used to do all the naughty stuff with all the underage girls, right? With their little grotto, little spa going on underneath there, their pool. Yes, to me, it seems to be drawing a lot of parallels. Their little grotto. There we go. There's the little grotto. Is this grotto business? Yes, the Playboy Mansion's little grotto. Let's have a look, shall we? Oh, there we are. They've got a little grotto there with their pool. You see the parallels? You just can't deny it. And you know that Playboy Mansion was a honeypot operation set up by the CIA using Stooge Hugh Hefner. We know Huey was not the brains in the operation. And it was done by design to have politicians and decision makers and stars and all that over the proverbial barrel. Do you see what I mean? Very interesting, isn't it? Okay, whole milk. Let's stop it right there, shall we? I've been wondering about this business. The milk, the whole milk, the moustache and the milk, and I'm thinking to myself, they're doing this deliberately by design. Oh yes, they do it by design. There's no coincidences, none whatsoever. I'll explain it, don't you worry. And it's going to go back to Kid Rock again. Does everyone remember what Kid Rock said about play ball? Let's see if I can bring that little parallel up there again. Because it's very relative to what I'm saying here to do with got milk. Because does everyone remember the play ball that says grass in the field and play ball? He was talking about the Olsons. Does everyone remember that? How he's talking about the Olsen girls. Yeah, not very good for Kid Rock, especially when I've got all the goods on him. Not at all, Kitty Fiddler Rock. No, people don't like me because of the Kitty Fiddler Rock business that I say about him. How I'm always against him because I'm exposing the fool at every given opportunity I can. Anyone that hangs around with Diddy Fiddler over there ain't good in my books. Now, like I said, Eminem, him and Kid Rock used to hang out, and they used to do tons of drugs together with the Playboy Mansion girls. There you go. There's the parallel that I was drawing. The grotto, Playboy Mansion, that's exactly what they were doing, right? Playboy Mansion girls, underage, right? And like I said, he's involved in a lot of filth, just like Eminem is. Now, when you're seeing that, when he says this play ball business, it ain't very good look for Kid Rock, to be quite honest. When there's grass in the field, play bloody ball, right? You remember that one. Let me see if I can find that little video here. But in the meantime, guys, take the time to hit the like button. And then also, yes, by the way, the cool music, Cool Daddy Cool song, Daddy Cool, Cool Daddy Cool, where he talks about underage girls you see. Okay, I say it's statutory. I say it's mandatory, but I think it's statutory. Remember this little business here, Kid Rock? Young ladies, I like them underage, you see. Some say it's statutory, but I say it's mandatory. That's what he says. That's from his own lyrics. So you can see, ladies and gentlemen, how the parallels are being drawn with good old Kid Rock. And it ain't looking good for Kid Rock. No, it ain't looking good at all, especially when he's tied up with Rachel Chandler and Eminem, Rachel Chandler. She was one of the procurers to do with Epstein. I've been through that quite a few times. No, it ain't looking good at all, especially when he does these little devil symbols. Did he find Jesus then, ladies and gentlemen? No, he didn't. He's never found Jesus. That's all bullshit because he's been doing gangster M symbols, which is masonry. He's into Freemasonry, by the way, right? But like I said, the connections to the Olsen twins. And you've heard him say, yes, play ball when there's grass on the field, play ball, right? You've all heard that. Let me see if I can find that little video there. Because it's going to tie in to the milk. Oh, don't you worry. It's going to tie in nice and beautifully. And then he's also, obviously a pro-Zionist stooge. He's connected to Zionism. He says that Palestinians don't deserve to live. They should all be killed, so forth and so forth. That's not somebody that loves Jesus, is it? No, it isn't, is it? Not at all. Let's be honest. It's someone that loves the devil. I mean, after all, look at that. I mean, hey, he loves the devil. He shows it right there. What's that D mean? D for devil? Probably. Now, like I said, let me see if I can find that Olsen twins business. But in the meantime, thumbs up, great comments. I share this around the place, guys. So you could see that the connections, how they're being made, how he's connected to a lot of filth. I mean, after all, it's in his lyrics. You can see who he's hanging around with. You know what I mean? You don't need to be a rocket scientist to work it out. Now, let's have a look. I want to show you something that I prepared earlier. Oh, God. Where are we? Been saving this one for a while, guys, because I know everyone wants to everyone wants to know why the weirdness to do with the milk. You know what I mean? The milk mustache and all that. And have a look at this. Yes, there's your weirdness. Okay, let me just see. Here. There we go. The Olsen twins. Got milk? Is there grass on the field? Let's play ball, Kid Rock. Have a look at that. The milk mustache, milk cartons, missing children. Thank you, Carol, for that one. Then you got the banana. Oh, no, got milk on the mustache. We know what that means. Someone's been doing something naughty, sucky. You know what I mean? And someone got excited. This is what it's all about. They've been doing this in front of our very bloody faces, ladies and gentlemen. These celebrities have been grooming our children using nefarious ways. Got milk, the banana. We know what the banana is. It's a phallic symbol. Then you got the two girls with a milk mustache, which we know what that means, some oral copulation. Oh, that's what it's all about. The Got Milk campaign. Everyone just thinks it's so innocent. No, there's nothing innocent about it. They've been laughing in our faces all along, ladies and gentlemen. How do you like to be made a fool of? And what's happening now is RFK Jr. is gone out there And he's done it deliberately by design because he's exposing this whole fraud. How they've been doing this deliberately. And these two girls, look at that. Look at the phallic symbol, the banana. Look at the star. Okay, so obviously there's stars and all that, making it glamorous. Then you got the milk, which represents obviously excitement from a male. I don't want to sit there and explain it. Oral copulation, blah, blah, blah. You get the gist. Got milk. Sexualization. They've been sexualizing and putting it in the mass consciousness, laughing it up. Remember, these bastards are sick. Remember, they put things in Hollywood, in the movies, all that sort of symbolism and all that crap. Well, guess what? They were doing it there as well. There you go. And then you got Mr. Kid Rock saying, young ladies, I like them young, you see. How young do you like them, kid? And when he was talking about play ball, about grass on the field, he was talking about them. So it was very relative. Can you see, ladies and gentlemen, 5 of 5 comms are clear. Thank you very much. Once again, we decoded that business. We decoded that business. And God knows, yeah, if they were inverted as well. God knows, I mean, maybe this one here could be packing a banana in her pants. God knows only what. You know what I mean? Nothing surprises me in this day and age at all. The only way you're going to get through this mess is basically if you have an open mind. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. We're living in the world of inverts. Okay, that one there got the banana. The other one is the female. That's what it means, ladies and gentlemen, to look beyond the peripheral. Oh, look at this one. Right there. Got milk. Grown up. How sick are these bastards? And then you got MMM. What does that mean? M for Mason? Remember, the symbolism will be their downfall. Have a look at this crap. God knows what she's got on her top. But have a look at that. Milk. I'm all grown up now. I've got the bloody milk on my face. And so does the little girl. Sick. Bloody people. Then they put the milk. Like, you know, Carol brought it to my attention. I go, yeah, Carol, you got that one right. On the milk carton, there's all these children that have gone missing. Yeah, I wonder where the children that have gone missing went. And you use the milk carton to shove it in front of our faces as well and laugh about it with your stupid milk commercials as well. Look at that business. That's why I know that RFK Jr. did it deliberately through President Trump by design, done that got milk commercial to expose the world of pedophilia and also the child trafficking. The milk, the carton represents child trafficking, the missing children. How sick is this business? It really is. Here's another one. Got milk. Swift Pick. Is that Taylor Swift? Yeah, Swift Pick. She's got milk as well. They're all doing it. In this business, you got to be decisive. So I choose milk. Oh, yes, yes. What kind of thing have you been sucking on? God knows what. You know what I mean? Another one. Here we go. Grow more. Yeah, there we go. There's another one. Even he's got a good old Beckham. Yeah, bend it like Beckham. When you say bend it, what are you bending, Beckham? God knows what. Are you bending over to cop it as well? Maybe you have. You know what I mean? Maybe you've been bending it over and giving someone a proverbial blowjob. That's why you got milk all over your bloody face. And bending it like bloody Beckham over there. My goal is to try and be like Beckham. A goal by Beckham, body by milk. Yeah, God knows what you've been bending over and for who. You know what I mean? There we go. There's another one there. Got milk. Make it big. what do you want to make big? Something that gives you milk? You know what I mean? Make it big. Make it big. I don't want to make anything bloody big, thank you very much. Maybe bend it like Beckham wants to make it big. You know what I mean? All this grooming and disgusting filth right in front of your very faces. You want to be like me, be a crowd pleaser and do what you got to do and bend it like Beckham and do what you have to do to get to the top. You know what I mean? Do the proverbial disgusting filth to get to the top and be a crowd pleaser. Got milk. Then we got the children. Oh, God, help us. This business. Angie's Harmony. The children there got milk. Got milk. Got milk. Oh, yeah, even her. Oh, these two filthy pieces of shit right there. Look at that. I got milk. We such good friends. Look at this. We are such good friends. If I got invited to a big Hollywood party, I'd call you the minute I got home. Or if you had stuff on your face, I'd tell you sooner or later. Have these women, this is what I'm saying. Do you see what I mean? These women right here have been doing, God knows what they are anyway, but they've been doing naughty stuff. And they said, we went to a Hollywood party and we ended up with those milk mustaches on our faces. The moment I got home, I would tell you that you got stuff on your face. Really now. They've been putting it right in your face, ladies and gentlemen, right there. How disgusting are these two freaks? Right like now, sort of this, but this is to tell more women to drink skim milk. It has all the calcium without all the fat. Yeah, okay. This one here, we're such good friends that when you're going to a Hollywood party, I would call you in a minute the moment I got home and tell you got stuff on your face. By the way, Jennifer, how many producers did you blow that day? Did you blow Harvey Weinstein? Is that why you got milk on your face, Jennifer? To get that role at God knows what? Do you know what I mean? It's right in front of our faces. Oh, yes, got milk, Beyonce. Who the hell's that next to her? Is that, don't tell me, who is that? Is that Paula Abdul? Someone. We know that's Beyonce. Homebodies. Yeah, we know you're on the shit list too, Beyonce. And got milk and smiling. I wonder what you did to whom. Then you got her, Miss Laura Croft, Tomb Raider. That one right there. Angelina Jolie got milk. It's not giving me the vote of confidence to go and buy milk anymore. In fact, I want to go and throw up. Okay? There we go. Got milk. Then you got all these other ones. A 15-year-old country singer. God help us. 15-year-old, underage, country singer, got milk on my face. Right, okay. Jennifer Love Hewitt got milk. Was that before you had your breast increased? Looks like it. Then you got this one here. Recommended for all audience, got milk. Oh, God, not him. Can you believe this? Oh, yeah, I can believe it. Wasn't he mentioned on the shit list? You are correct. Remember when these idiots that went out of remember they came out of the White House with the binders like Drano the rat, lib dickhead from TikTok, clown, and all the rest of those idiots went out with the binders and they gaslit all of us. Oh, see, we know what's going on. We got the Epstein Files and the binder and it was full of shit. And including in that full of shit was his name. Mr. Bloody, what's his name? Jumping Jack Flash, Jaggermouth. Look at that. got milk. Now I know why this whole thing was run. Now I know why what's her name did that. The whole milk. Now it all makes perfect sense. Do you see what I mean? Got milk. All to do with that business. Yes, there's grass on the field, but what if there's a bat too, Kid Rock? Are you still going to play ball if one of them's got a huge bat in their undercarriage? Are you still going to play ball, kid?
It's all good and it's all in fun. Then get in the pit and try to love someone.
Yeah, no, make America healthy again. How about waking America up and the whole world while we're at it? And they're only going to get woken up with this show. Because the others are sitting there, oh, isn't that cool? See how RFK Jr.'s in a club and he's dancing and he's drinking milk and all that. And everyone's doing the got milk commercial and they got always milk. They're always gone out of their way. And that's why I said warning bells. And I did it back then, ladies and gentlemen. That decode that you just saw was way back then when they first did it. And I've been meaning to bring it now so everyone can see, because it's appropriate with what's happening now with Epstein. Do you see how the dots are being connected? And like I said, I mean, hey, better late than never for a lot of people. That you wake up and you see that business. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, did you know, can you imagine the conversations? Mum, I saw a man called FCB and he said about this milk commercial and he said he showed me all these things that are basically been true. What are we going to do with that? Can you imagine the dinner conversations after they see my show? It'll be very awkward for a lot of them. Welcome to the world of being awake. That's all I've got to say. And like I said, everything is facts, evidence and receipts, because you got to be able to prove what you say. And I'll always do that on the Freedom Channel broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I'll always do it because I want everybody to see what's going on. I want everyone to see what a dickhead Kid Rock really is. You know what I mean? What he's really all about. And his pedophilia. And President Trump, obviously, is exposing Kid Rock. Oh, you saw what he did, right? You saw how he exposed Pedo Rock as being a mutual friend. A mutual friend, ladies and gentlemen, a mutual friend. Yeah, no, it doesn't look good for Pedo Rock at all, to be quite honest. It hasn't looked good for Pedo Rock, especially when he sits there and he does those sort of things and he finds Jesus. Okay, it's a lovely role model to have as a Christian role model, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be honest. People really need to, is that what you want? Oh, is that the sign of the cross? No, it isn't. Okay? It's the sign of the devil that he's doing right there. And like I said, it's exposure. Oh, here we go. Here's the video. There we go. The Olsen twins. Are you ready for this one? I've always got the facts, evidence and receipts, and you're only going to get it here on the Freedom Channel broadcast when you join our platform. All this information, ladies and gentlemen, and much more is on our platform here. Have a look at this. This is one I prepared earlier.
Why is every guy in America? I mean, you know what I say? Grass on the field. Play ball.
Ah, yes, play ball. Yes, kid, play ball. Yes. Is that what you said when you were drinking the milk? Play ball? Is that what you were saying? It's about time that people woke up and saw the truth. You see how the parallels are all being drawn here. And I'm showing you, ladies and gentlemen, the truth. Everything I'm showing you. And this is the thing, they don't want you to see the truth. And you get people, why can't you just shut up? No, I'm not going to shut up. I'm going to show you people what they need to know, which is the truth. And Carol, thank you very much for this one. You know, I've been exposing this character. Okay. Tommy Robinson. Now remember, General Flynn is playing the game. He's exposing those. Remember, General Flynn went on shows that were the worst of the worst people, grifters that you could possibly imagine. It's called exposure. Remember, we are obviously in mind warfare. General Flynn, Tommy Robinson, Mossad asset, first stop in the USA, meeting up with the legend General Flynn. No, Tommy Robinson, how about you own up to the Mossad connections, please? And obviously you've been exposed, your Zionist connections and your love for Israel. How about that one? Now, obviously, General Flynn is playing the game. Exposure. Thank you for that, Carol. But like I said, they're all being exposed, and President Trump is doing certain things, like I showed you on the Truth Social post. And when he does also other things, oh yes, let me show you what President Trump's been up to. And that's what I'm saying. You'll only get this here on the Freedom Channel broadcast because I put it up on Telegram, on Truth Social, and on X, but mainly on Telegram. Okay, let's have a look at this. Like I said, President Trump is doing things deliberately and by design. There were no coincidences. They don't exist. He's exposing these entities at every which way he possibly can. Right? Doing it deliberately. You must remember, he's got to play the game. Remember, Andrew was playing the game. Right? So he's playing the game, doing that business, exposing Andrew. He's exposing them all. He's even exposed, let me show you, Jesse Jackson. Oh, yes, good old Jesse. Jesse ain't good either. Sorry, guys, to break it to you. Even though he took photos, let me just see if I can just save this. Even though he took photos of Jesse, plastered it all over Truth Social, he's doing it deliberately because Jesse Jackson was a Freemason. He was initiated by the Grand Master in Freemasonry. He was pro-Zionist, and he's there licking the wall as well. No, not a very good look for Jesse. Sorry. And then Jesse's also mentioned in the Epstein Files. No, not very good either. You got to look at why President Trump does things deliberately, and he does things for a reason. Okay, that's what he does. Also, please remember this. If you're arguing with somebody online, don't. Because the thing is, you could be chatting and arguing and wasting your time and losing your hair and getting pissed off for no reason. There are Chinese bot farms that exist, and basically they're using social media and they're doing it to shape narratives, but not only Chinese bot farms, they're bot farms that exist to try and shape narratives and to argue, to create this illusion that you're really having a conversation with a real person. I mean, how do you feel right now that you know that you're arguing with a bunch of circuits? I don't think you feel pretty good, to be quite honest. Okay. I wouldn't feel too good either. And like I said, look, he's been mentioned in the Epstein Files. There we go. Little Jesse Jackson Jr. is in trouble. And then apparently it says there that Jesse Jackson, this is what in the Epstein Files, to Tom Pritzker. We know Pritzker is no good. He just stepped down. Right? Remember? Hyatt, see you later. I'm embarrassed. How about you go to jail with the rest of them? I thought he was, it's what he said. I thought he was up is he going to jail to pay for the father's sins? The father's sins? Jesse Jackson's sins? No, he doesn't do sin. He's a man of God. Are you kidding me? No, people got to wake up. see what's really going on. And like I said, don't be afraid to call a spade because it's about honesty. Now, have a look at this. Like I said, in the past, Epstein's ghost is haunting even Anderson Cooper is actually exiting stage left and saying goodbye to 60 Minutes. They all seem to be getting embarrassed, and they all seem to be having regrets. They all seem to be losing their memory, just like Les Wexner. That's funny as well. How Les all of a sudden, the one that did all that, gave all those billions of dollars, has been, shall we say, losing his memory. And he's saying, Les Wexner, when asked when he wrote that book, that birthday card, that birthday letter, to Epstein, he said, sadly I did. Now, you knew what you were doing, okay? You knew what you were doing. You said you weren't his friend. Why did you sign it in the first place, Leslie? That doesn't make any sense. Yes, past tense, Jackson died. I said it. Okay? Now, let's continue on. Let's have a listen. Hold on, guys. Let me just rewind it back. Okay, because I'm sitting there and I'm got to activate the sound business. Okay, here we go. Rightio. Yeah, he looks like a creep. Look. Okay. Anyway, let's continue on. Here we go.
Did you yourself write this letter to Mr. Epstein?
Sadly, I did.
You've said a few times throughout this deposition today that you did not consider Mr. Epstein a friend of yours. However, you signed this letter, and I quote, "Your friend Leslie." Why would you sign "your friend Leslie" to someone you did not consider to be a friend of yours?
I don't know.
Are you serious? You don't know? Are you kidding me right now? I don't know what I did. I don't remember a damn thing. I've got dementia. Q spoke about that as well. They're all of a sudden they're going to have developed dementia and they're going to forget about everything else. No, sorry. We're not biting that garbage any longer, Leslie. And this is the thing. Leslie said something. And this is the thing. I mean, does everyone know what a hot mic is? So a hot mic is basically when the microphone is still active when they're supposed to cut it off so no sound goes through, and then it incriminates them. Well, guess what? Done by design, I would say, because you'd have to be stupid, okay? But also, who's running the show? You got to remember that one. Wexner's lawyer whispered, "I'm going to fucking kill you if you answer with more than 5 words." When I saw it, it's like, where are we? What are we living in, ladies and gentlemen? What the hell are we living in?
Even the Twilight Zone isn't this fucked up. We are ruled over by demons.
Pretty much at this point now, or something else. Now, look, I said, let's have a look at this video over here.
It was just regularly done.
You laughed about it. I'm going to fucking kill you. There we go. There we go. I am going to fucking kill you. This is from the GOP oversight. If you answer another question with more than 5 words, okay. Then he sits there and laughs about it. Why? Is he laughing because he doesn't know who his lawyer is and he's got dementia? You know what I mean? The whole thing is, look, we've been gaslit. Our realities are being tested every single day. We know that this is some psychological warfare, some twilight. Like I said, the Twilight Zone is like a holiday, like a picnic compared to what we're in right now, to be quite honest. Then we got, obviously, Robert Garcia going out there, blah, blah, blah. Lex Wexner told us that he's never been questioned by the DOJ or the FBI. I find that hard to believe. It's a bunch of garbage. And obviously so does he. How is that possible? Mr. Wexner was Epstein's biggest benefactor. Oh, yes, it was huge. Massive benefactor, massive. And he appears countless times in the files. Our government refusal to pursue true accountability, obviously it's showing that they're trying to cover something up. Let's have a look.
It's been clear to us, at least the way Mr. Wexler has presented this, that he, according to him, has not been or questioned by the FBI or the DOJ about Mr. Epstein. How outrageous is that? He's someone that's been named by survivors, someone that's in the files more than most people, someone that's clearly the financial benefactor to Jeffrey Epstein and has not been contacted or interviewed by the FBI or the DOJ. What the hell is going on? That is shameful.
Yep.
We should be ashamed as a government.
No, we should be ashamed as a government. Then do something bloody about it. Stop saying I'm ashamed, I'm embarrassed, I have regrets, all that kind of crap, and do something about it. Stop pissing in the air and telling us it's raining all the time. Okay? And then, look, there's so much we can go into Les that I'll leave that for another time because I've done a huge decode in the past. And obviously it's come at the right time. So I've done a huge decode on Les Wexner using the Q drops and everything else. And then we got this deposition. So I can use this disposition and complete this decode on Les Wexner, which would be great to do. And you will only get it here on the Freedom Channel broadcast. Right. Now, obviously you're seeing a lot of gaslighting going on. Let's be honest. We've been gaslit to the hilt. If we get gaslit anymore and you light a match, forget about it. You blow us all up to hell. That's where we are right now. Now, Epstein's reach all over the place. Anyone that believes that Les Wexner doesn't know what he's, if you believe the garbage that he's saying, forget about it. You might as well believe in unicorns flying backwards with purple spots. Okay, that's what you might as well believe in. We know that we've been gaslit. Things have been done deliberately by design. Okay. Have a look at this gaslighting. Why don't they going? Look at this business. This is what I'm saying. We've been gaslit, right? What did Les Wexner say? Oh, he's like he's got dementia. What did Epstein and all the rest of them take? And you can see it in the Epstein files, in the emails, that he was been taking all those pills, including Viagra, Cialis, and all the rest of the gang over there. Don't you find it, shall we say, how, ridiculous, but in the sense of that we are being gaslit, that Viagra, have a look at this. New York Post says that Viagra might help ward off dementia. So why don't we give Les Wexner and pump his cornflakes full of Viagra and help him remember what happened? How about that one? And then if anyone else of these idiots don't want to admit, we'll go and pump them full of Viagra and then it'll help them ward off their dementia. And while they're at it, we don't want to be anywhere near that thing going on. How Viagra might help ward off dementia. Are you kidding me right now? Are you trying to boost Pfizer's sales in Viagra? Is that what you're trying to do, New York Post? In the hunt to ward off dementia. But can you see what I mean? Memory robbing illness. This is where I'm saying this is the joke, the circus that we're in right now. Don't you find it coincidental, which there are no coincidences, why they would be saying Viagra, where we know Epstein was taking it and all those involved, probably even bloody Andrew was taking it and the rest of them, Cialis and all that. That's all been mentioned in the Epstein files, right? So we've got that business. So don't you find it coincidental that we got Les Wexner, who was the one that funded Epstein and gave him all that money, and I'm sure he gave him a shitload of money to go and buy a shitload of Viagra, okay? So, hey, since you've done that, Mr. Wexner, how about we return the favour towards you so you can regain your memory and tell us what the hell went on that island and all the other places like Zorro and over in New York, and we'll pump your cornflakes and actually we'll give you a Viagra smoothie that you'll never forget, and you'll remember the time you were born. That's what I reckon. Since Viagra might help ward off dementia, why don't you give it to Pelosi? Why don't you give it to all these others like Joe Biden? Yeah, no, let's give it to all of them. The only thing is you don't want to be in the same room because they might do something naughty, if you know what I mean. That's the problem. You'd have to sort of do it in a sort of contained area and make sure that no one's in that contained area. And then you've got to separate them all into little cubicles so they don't go at each other either. So then they're able to have some sort of coherent conversation when asked these questions. How ridiculous is that? It is beyond ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, God help us with this crap. There's so much of it going on. So much gaslighting, especially when you got RFK Jr. Yes, he's going around. Remember before, no, we're not going to have a glyphosate in our foods. And then all of a sudden, we've had a huge backflip. This is back in 2024, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on X. The herbicide glyphosate is one of the likely culprits in America's chronic disease epidemic, much more widely used here than in Europe. Shockingly, much of the exposure comes from the use of desiccant on wheat, if I pronounced that correctly or not, desiccant on wheat, not as a herbicide, not as an herbicide, not as a herbicide. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, from there it goes straight into our bodies. My USDA will ban this practice. That was back in 2024, 14th of June, 2024. What happened, RFK? Did you all of a sudden, did something happen and you did a huge backflip? Trump plans for more weed killer despite Maha's anti-pesticide campaign. How dangerous is it really? Really? I would say there's some really weird business going on. Kennedy once called Monsanto his arch nemesis or arch nemesis, whatever you prefer. But now he's happily supporting Trump's order to boost the company's production of a potentially carcinogenic weed killer. It doesn't make any world of sense, does it? Then all of a sudden we had a huge backflip. I mean, he said it there. I mean, guys, it's right there. Desiccant. Thank you very much, Rosedale. Desiccant on wheat or desiccant. Don't you find it strange? It's because you're being gaslit. And that's riling up. So think about this. It's riling up people. It's awakening people. So, well, hold on a minute. You were the one that said it. No, you're going to, get rid of it. And now you're saying, no, it's okay. Bring it back. That doesn't make a world of sense. Just like this doesn't make a world of sense. But, hey, it's showing the corruption of the FBI. Future proves past. Cash is just carrying on the torch of corruption. Kash Patel used an FBI jet to fly to Italy with plans to attend the Olympic men's hockey game. Isn't that lovely? Taxpayers' dollars, nice luxury jet. I'm sure he's probably bringing his main squeeze with him to go and see the beautiful sights of Rome, all on the taxpayers' expense. Isn't that lovely? Showing the corruption of the FBI. It just continues on and on and on, and it's future-proofs past as it was in the past, just like everything else. The DOJ is corrupt. It's happening again. It's exposure on a grand scale. So you can see this is all what it's doing is it's aggravating people, and they're in their rights to be aggravated, aren't they? Especially when they're being gaslit to the max, just like what's going on. Now, apparently, President Trump said today that the world will find out in the next 10, or probably the next 10 days, I was told 10 or 15 days, about the Iran military action. 10 to 15 days. Very interesting, isn't it? 10 days. It says 10 days there. Yes, very interesting. A lot of interesting things being said, and we know what 10 days means. A lot of this 10 days of darkness. Now, 10 days darkness, not 10 days of darkness, 10 days. Now, if we go to Q drop 88, because of Les Wexner happens to be, I'm 88 years old. 88. Then you got Trump coming out and saying on the same day, it's about 10 days. Look at that right there. Q drop 88. 10 days. Darkness. Scare tactics. Mainstream media. Saudi Arabia, US, Asia, Europe. Disinformation is real. Distractions are necessary. What have I been saying? Haven't I been telling you all along, the trans shootings, all this business? Oh, yeah, we'll get to this one. The UFOs, the aliens, Obama, Trump saying about that Obama breached national security. We know that Q also says about aliens and UFOs being used as a way of distraction. There you go, necessary distractions. Focus the US was US today, while real happening in Saudi Arabia. There's a lot going on. Obviously, if you look at what's going on over there, it's all happening over there. There are military operations taking place. Remember also the Godfather 3 has to do with the Pope, and the Pope declined to be part of the Board of Peace. What's been happening is the Great Awakening through Epstein and all the connections that have been made. Also, the CIA have been implicated in involving themselves with the Epstein business. Okay, that's all coming out through one of the Congress ladies that are bringing it out. Mace, that's it. Nancy Mace has been asking about the CIA's involvement. Snow White has to do with, obviously, the CIA's servers. That's what it means. The servers, the CIA, it's all there, all the information, they've got it all. Operations are taking place also in the US. You're seeing things that are taking place. There are, shall we say, psychological operations. Now, don't you find this interesting? 10 days. Then you got Trump saying about 10 days. Then you got Wexner, 88. 88. You can't call it a coincidence, guys. You really, really can't. And then also, didn't the Pope, the previous Pope, died 88 years old? Isn't it? I think so. The Pope's mentioned here as well, Godfather 3. Anything to do with Godfather 3 has to do with the Pope. But let's put things into perspective. 10 days darkness. 10 days darkness. The mainstream media have been going out there and smashing it. Really ramping up the fires of, shall we say, propaganda. You could see those that are pushing the propaganda of Israel good, Iran bad. You know what I mean? Standing by Israel. You've seen that. The mainstream media manipulators. They're using scare tactics, fear. That's how they operate. That's how they control the masses. You know how they operate. Now, darkness. 10 days. So, in other words, 10 days of not knowing what's going to happen. 10 days, they said we're going to give them 10 days. What happened last time? Does everyone remember? They were in the middle of negotiations and then all of a sudden they attacked. Just because President Trump says 10 days doesn't necessarily mean 10 days. It means within 10 days. But then also that means it's a blackout period. A blackout period because the mainstream media don't know what's going to happen. You think they're going to tell the enemy when they're going to attack and who they're going to attack? No. Darkness, blackout period. So that's what it means. So you're seeing that everything's ramping up. You're seeing that the West Bank is being annexed while everyone's focusing and being distracted on Epstein, on Wexner, on the shootings, on, oh yes, let's not forget Obama. You know how I brought to your attention, I brought to the attention of Obama, the aliens, he spoke about it on the podcast the other day, I brought that out there. Then you got Dmitriev, which happens to be one of Putin's important people that work in the government, that brought this out. And Dmitriev is also, in the past, ladies and gentlemen, Kirill Dmitriev, that happens to be is a Russian envoy, special envoy to President Putin. He's also gone out there and put out the where we go one, we go all, references to Q. That's fact. He's also put this one out, which is another reference, ladies and gentlemen, to Q.
Dear friends, when I said aliens exist, I meant in the vast universe.
In the vast universe. This is an AI-generated, obviously, video that was done by Kirill Dmitriev. If we type in, he's talking about aliens. Let's go to the Q drops. The answer's there. Right? Are we alone? Q drop a quadruple 2. Are we alone? Roswell, question mark. No, Q confirms it. We are not alone. But look at the answer. The vastness of space. We've got a mirror. The vastness. That's exactly what that AI video said. The vastness, universe, space, same thing. We've got a 5 of 5 comms are clear from Kirill. Do you see how they work and they give us comms? So Kirill happens to be a special envoy to President Putin. This is why I say that President Putin, President Xi and President Trump are working together as it says in the Q drops. You got Kirill that has gone out there and he's given us where we go one, we go all messages. There is definitely references that you cannot call coincidences to Q. Do you see what I mean? So Kirill Dmitriev, who happens to be, as I said, special envoy of the president of Russia, President Putin, has given us and created this little video and saying about the vastness of the universe.
Not that aliens exist. I meant in the vast universe.
In the vast universe. So we say the vast universe, and here it says the vastness of space. Same meaning. 5 of 5 comms are clear. We get it. We know we're not alone. Obama, think about the reach that man has. Think about it. That was done by design. Obama has a reach, a huge reach. So those people that used to call us conspiracy theorists, He's gone out there on a podcast and declared that aliens do exist. Then you got President Trump that basically Trump all but confirms Obama's alien bombshell. He says, when he's asked on the gaggle about are aliens real? Let's have a listen.
Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information.
He gave classified information. Have a think about what he just said. He gave classified information. In other words, he's confirming it that it is real. He gave classified information, didn't say no. Did you hear what he said? He gave classified information. He's confirming what Obama said was correct. That's the thing. Then you got Kirill that further confirms it, and then we go to the Q drops. We've got a mirror there, a connection. And then we've got Kirill that is a special envoy to President Putin, and we know there's a connection there as well. The truth is coming. They've been seeded. Do you see what I mean? They're using Obama, and they used Obama. That was a genius move. They used Obama as a way of seeding the mass consciousness and preparing them for alien disclosure. This is the genius of this man. This is the genius of the plan. It's nothing short. We can't call it anything else, but it's genius. Let's have a look at that video once again with Obama.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and
let's just go back.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility, unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Obama's got a huge reach. Huge reach. It's not about the left and right anymore. It's about the truth. President Trump is saying he gave classified information. He's further confirming it. Then you got Kirill that is basically saying that it's real. You go to the Q drops, it's confirmed again. How many coincidences before we call this mathematically impossible? Like I said, these are high-profile people that have come out there and declared it. You got Trump confirming Obama's what he's saying. You've got Kirill that is basically giving us a mirror in the Q drops. I don't know what more people want. You know what I think they should do? I think the aliens should go and land on people's backyards that don't believe them. Here you go. They're waiting for you. What are you going to do about it? It's time for you to get real. That's what it is. It's time for you to realise, no, that doesn't exist. I've had too much, too much to drink. No, you haven't drank a damn thing. You know, bring out I say bring it out. Ladies and gentlemen, I say bring it out, bring it out. Bring it out so then people know the truth. And think about this. If they had been here for malicious reasons, we would have been toasted now, wouldn't we? We would have been roasted and toasted. We would have been gone. We would have been screwed, wouldn't we? You see what I mean? That's what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. There's a reason and a rhyme for everything that's happening right now. What we need to remember is that we're all heading towards massive disclosure. We're heading towards massive disclosure. It's necessary because you know what? Enough's enough. Enough is enough. It's time for the truth to be known. It's time for people to get real. That's what needs to happen. It's time. We're well overdue. Look at this. Like I said, look at this. This is Kirill Dmitriev saying that Russians sign at dawn. Voices are calling me from the heavens, are calling me dark to light. Where we go one, we go all. This is from Putin's special envoy, ladies and gentlemen. Putin's special envoy. Have a think about that one. Let's just go back there. Okay, I seem to do that business. Okay, here we go. Have a look at this. The time of conspiracy theories are coming to an end, and the time of truth is nearly here. As far as being exposed to the mass consciousness, and they're going to have no choice but to wake up. But then you got also, there we go, Laura Trump. Trump has prepared a speech. Look at this. So she's come out there at the time when Obama's gone out there and saying about speeches on extraterrestrial life that President Trump has prepared something. It's all coming down, ladies and gentlemen. And think about this. Who are the ones that have blocked it? Remember, the presidents have been under the control of the cabal, the system. So they couldn't release information because they were under control. President of the United States is a CEO of an organization, of a corporation known as the US Corporation, District of Columbia Corporation. That's all been proven. That's all factual. So think about this. President Trump had to destroy that, bring it all down. Because people don't realize that these organizations or corporations have been, together with the cabal, deep state or whatever, have been running the show and keeping disclosure about the ETs, extraterrestrials, alien technologies, all that, away. And Israel know all about it, don't you worry. Lockheed Martin have got the technology. That's all been exposed. Whistleblowers have come out and said Lockheed Martin and other technologies. Where do you think they get all these technologies from? Reverse engineering. So they're all being exposed. They're all coming out. Everything's coming out now. Now President Trump is preparing a speech on ETs. I'd say that we're getting there. But the thing is, before we even get there, we have to get rid of, shall we say, the world's evil. The world's evil, the keepers of this whole corrupt system has to go. This debt slavery system, this entertainment system, this whole system of debauchery and control and manipulation, the left and the right and the right and the left and all that kind of crap, that whole system that was created to control humanity and to keep them in a state of stupefied states of, in a stupefied state, their mind in ignorance and bliss, who cares? That sort of business, keeping them controlled, that all has to go because it's time for them to awaken. Now, look, it goes back to my point. The sleepwalker has been sleeping around for a very long time. They've been awakened up through a very slow, gradual process known as the plan. It's been continuing on and on and on. And now Epstein Files have been, like, shall we say, the point of where the things have switched over. And you're seeing that now that people are receptive to the truth. Because think about this. Well, if they lied about this business, about Epstein, if they lied about partaking in child sex and all that pedophilia and all this garbage, what other things have they been lying to us about? And that's what I'm saying. That's the point of this Great Awakening, is to awaken the minds to the extent of when people are ready to receive and are receptive to the harsh truths that are coming their way. This is the genius, ladies and gentlemen. This is the genius part of the plan. The Great Awakening, we've been living it. People are saying, I'm going to wait in stars and I'm going to be aligned and all these rays of light are going to hit our heads and then all of a sudden we're going to be... No, it's not like that at all. It's to do with awareness. It's raising awareness, getting these sleepwalkers, these mass consciousness at a certain point to awaken them organically and to use the very stars, like Nicki Minaj, for an example. Elon Musk, the ones that they, Elon, they loved Elon, Obama and all the rest of them, using all them and their reach to flip everything over, just like what you just saw with Obama. All of a sudden, he went on a podcast and he blurted that ETs exist. Just like that, in one foul swoop. So what are they going to call now? Are they going to call Obama a conspiracy theorist? Do you see what I mean? And then it's all in the mainstream media. They're going to call them a conspiracy theorist. Conspiracy theory? No more. You've been lied to. Time for you to wake up. That's the reality. You've been lied to for your whole life about everything you could possibly imagine. You think this Epstein Files being released was a coincidence? No, it was done by design to expose those leaders, and I mean leaders of every industry that you could possibly imagine, including politics. Your world leaders right down, from top to bottom, from left to right, exposing this whole system so you can wake up. Because now you're at the point where you're demanding justice. You're at the point now where you're ready to know the real truth and to leave that conspiracy theorist behind, because those conspiracy theory labels no longer exist. Obama just, within a foul swoop, just told you that aliens exist. Well, you were calling us tinfoil hat wearers. You were calling us all these names before, where we were trying to wake you up, brother and sister, out of your slumber. You didn't listen. We were trying. We tried over and over and over again, but I don't blame you, because the waters had been tainted and dirtied with others in the guise of saying the truth, where they were going out there dirtying the waters with lies and deceptions, disinformation, misinformation being spread. So I don't blame you. But there were people like me that were putting our hands up out there, trying to gain your attention, but you painted us with the same brush. The same brush, because of these others. These others that were going out there and lying and deceiving. Giving people all this bullshit hopium crap. And then you painted us with the same brush because you think they were our leaders. They weren't our leaders. We were silenced. That was the problem. We were silenced, and it was done deliberately by design so you wouldn't get the real harsh truth. God forbid. Like I said, if they'd given me the opportunity, I'd be like, the V for Victory man, the one that took over that whole television station and woke up the world. That would be me. But it's not too late. It's not too late for all of you now that have woken up, late in the game. It's time for you to see what's really been going on. That the world hasn't been what you've been portrayed to be shown as all peachy creamy and that you're meant to do this and you're meant to do that. You've been conditioned to do this. You've been conditioned to do that. You've been in the state of entertainment, meaning contained. Your mind has been contained. You've been contained for too long. And because of this, our evolution has been stopped. The truth, the real truth, has been stopped dead in its tracks. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. The time is now. We've been brought here for a reason. We know this is irregular warfare that we're fighting. We know we're on the digital battleground, yet it is a battleground. Like General Flynn said, non-kinetic. At least when you're on the battleground, you know who your enemy is and you can shoot him. But like, remember what POG, Psychological Operations Group, that's all factual. Go look at it. Go do your research. Fort Bragg, that's where they live. Psychological Operations Group, their motto is physical wounds heal, psychological wounds don't. We've been in a psychological battleground, inundated with so much information, manipulated with social media bots, with narratives, using influencers by monetization to allow them to continue to manipulate people. Some don't even know what they're doing, but they're doing it because they're getting paid. But there are those that know what they're doing it deliberately so they can keep getting paid, and they don't care about the people. They don't care about them. All they care about is making money. You know what it says in Scripture? You can't worship two beasts. So you can't worship two masters. You can't worship two masters. You can't worship, Mammon. Okay, you can't worship God and worship Mammon at the same time. You can't do it. You just cannot. That's why this is the road least traveled. This is why here you're going to get the real truth. Here is the real empowerment. Here you get the real facts, evidence, and receipts. And that's why I'm dangerous. That's why I've been suppressed. That's why the others are inflated with numbers, because of the bots. That gives them the impression that these people know what they're talking about. I've seen some stupid shit, ladies and gentlemen, on Rumble. Let me be honest. I saw some hand puppet talking shit for hours, and he had hundreds of thousands of views. Are you kidding me right now? This is the ridiculousness. Then you got the bots that just run rampant. There is so much social media bots that are going out there, and they are destroying, shall we say, the truth. Dirtying the waters. It's the ones that are running the show that are doing it. The thing is, these bots can also be purchased, and these influencers, they purchase them. I've never done it, and I never will, because I believe in integrity, I believe in my word, and I stand by what I say, and I say what I mean. So, hopefully you got a lot out of tonight's show, guys. Lots of great information, great intel. And what I'm going to do is look at ways of improving the platform. I want to say thank you to those that have donated, much appreciated. And it goes towards expenses and equipment to improve the platform. We're looking at constant ways of improving, bringing new technologies, so then we can be able to produce better presentations and be able to produce more of them. I want to say thank you to Carol and Soren. Thank you to everybody. God bless you all, and I'll see you soon. Cheers, everyone. Thank you.